Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pioneer Cup. Day 1, Part 3, I think. I'm Palador. This is Nightfire, Aiden VR. What's up, guys?
Oh, I'm excited to be here, Pally. Thanks for joining, I think, me on our first cast since like 2-3 years ago with Echo Arena. It's great to be back on the desk with you. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has. And we, speaking of Echo, we have some recognizable faces from said game here on Vicious versus the Orinos. We have Matthew, Condog, Sweet Tooth, Patetsa, and Syrup over on Vicious, and Random, CBH, Dynamic Dyer, Blink, User VR, Blood Moon, and Jade Dogsta over on Orinos.
Yeah, there may be some folks that are tuning in that are confused. Why is there a Pioneer Cup again this weekend? I thought it was 2 weekends ago. We overloaded the tools that we were using for automation last tournament, and because we had so many teams participating in the Pioneer Cup. We've revamped those tools. We've broken it down to a different, more manual process, and we're optimistic that today we're going to get through 7 rounds of best of 3 action pretty quickly. It should be, I think, maybe 2 or 3 hours of gameplay. Aiden, I mean, what are you expecting today? Because I think we're going to see some really good stuff when we get into those later rounds.
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot of fun. NA recently has been pretty optimistic about the tournament this weekend. Yeah. Talking to a lot of them during events that I run with the clubhouse, everyone's optimistic that this will work out and we'll make it through. And honestly, I am too. I hope we can. And I am fingers crossed.
Yeah, barring any tech issues, we should have plenty of gameplay for you this afternoon. And Palador, I want to look back at what we have already watched, because we've watched some good stuff already. We've seen some great gameplay come in from some very high-level teams. I'm incredibly impressed with the skill level we're already seeing in this game. It's only been out a couple of months, realistically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And people are learning fast. The meta is developing fast. And I think also with this 4v4 nature of this tournament, there's a lot of adjustments also going on. But we can see people really making those adjustments quickly, learning the positioning. We had over in the Pioneer Cup for EU and OCE, we really saw those winning team being the ones who can really take it to that next level in terms of those passing plays, the patience, setting up those great offenses. It's really fascinating to watch these metas develop, and I think the ceiling is still so high from here.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I haven't seen a ton of, but I was watching a scrim yesterday as I was practicing my camera work, and I saw the regrabs. I'm wondering if we're going to see more regrabbing coming in here today on the North American side than we did EU, because isn't that a trend that we saw in Echo Arena, more regrabs in the NA than EU side? I don't know. It's just funny, these trends, that I wonder if they're going to continue again.
Yeah, it's really part of that developing meta, and that was definitely a question in the Pioneer Cup a couple of weeks ago too. We saw some teams utilizing it, but week to week things are changing. So I'm curious to really see how things have developed just in the last few weeks since our Pioneers Cup originally.
Yeah, and we do have players jumping into Arena, so we may be jumping into our first round here this afternoon, and I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone stopping by, hanging out, and enjoying the action today. A reminder, this is round 1 of 7 that we're going to have play out across this afternoon, across 3 streams, I think? No, 3 streams, all pumping out live broadcasts. We've got Martini and Finto and Bob and Retro all across these streams, putting out live content from what is 52, I think, teams participating in the tournament this weekend. So over 4 servers filled with matches. It's pretty awesome. And yeah, I'm getting the ready up from the teams that they are good to go in the arena. And so I think we are going to get ready for our first round, gentlemen, as we do dive into both squads prepping and getting their warm-ups in. We'll get sort of ready on our side on the ends. We do have Vicious on red and the Orinos in blue. Vicious are technically colored yellow, though, and Orinos are blue, so should be easy enough to differentiate here as we do get ready to dive into round 1.
Yeah.
Hey.
All right. Well, we got a timer now. Ball's in the middle.
There off like
do.
a rocket.
And now ball is in play. So off to the races here. Welcome everyone to the VRML Pioneer Cup.
Wrong arena.
We're getting it done here today.
Sorry for the tech issues. Sometimes they will happen. I popped down to the wrong arena that we were prepped for, but we haven't missed a goal, so it's okay. And we are back into it just for the pass over to the cross. Mateo looking for the cross over to Sweet Tooth. The shot on goal goes just a bit high as we swing over to the corner and battle for ball control.
All right, now in to the mid lane here as teams form out. Ball is being sent over to that left side, that far side, as they move up the... Oh, here in the comms there, as it will be Sweet Tooth now sending it to the mid line. And again, this arena in 4v4, bigger than what people are used to, larger than what people are used to in the 3v3 game, in the vanilla game. But you can see the adjustments being made and the positioning here as they dive in. Sweet Tooth from that backboard area. Good pass to Matthew, and a nice save, though, from Random.
Love to see those goalie blocks coming in here. That's the one thing that stands out. A solid defense is really just going to keep a team in the top tier. I think you got to have the ability to pile up around the front of your goal and stop those shots from coming in, because that was a lot of great pass work, Aiden.
Yeah, it really was. Lots of great pass work from both teams here is what I'm noticing. Vicious. Really being vicious with their offense right now. Their passes are insane. Kotetsa going for that shot there. Not able to make it. Sweet Tooth laying it in.
It's in.
Nicely done to get it past that goalkeeper. Again, you can be a great goalie, you can save a few shots, but eventually, you know, great offenses will beat those great defenses, and they had it there with a great positioning, shot from Sweet Tooth, and we might be seeing a repeat here in a second as it does go back to this blue side of the floor.
Battling out for ball control into the corner. The shot there from Sweet Tooth, no, blocked away. Mateo scoops it up, and we're just kind of clearing back and forth in the midfield as there is an attempt to pass up to the top line, and the goal flying in. Aiden, again, the pass work coming in key here for these shots on goal.
Yeah, the pass work absolutely insane. Vicious, you know, I think they've been doing a lot of scrims because they know exactly where each other are. They know, you know, where to pass to. You know, where to make that shot. That's just one of the things they're doing good right now.
And Vicious does have 2 points here now after that. Following this, maybe Kotetsa trying to chase down that ball down towards the middle. Condog over to Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth now trying to line up. Kind of a fadeaway shot. Couldn't get a lot of strength to it, but it would be Kotetsa coming away. Sweet Tooth now taking position along with Matthew, but they do lose the handles on the ball. Condog there to save it, however. We'll slap one over on a pass to the blue area as Blank user comes away with it. Now Blank trying to move up on Kotetsa and a really deep fling intercepted by Sweet Tooth in the middle and heading up for their offensive once again.
Nice little juke to the left there. Good bit of stacked defense, and that's what I mean. That stacked up defense in the front line, making it really hard to score on the smaller goal here, Pally. In the 4v4, comparatively to the 3v3, one of the comments that stood out from some of the players and some of the casters was that the goal is much smaller. So it's obviously harder to score on. And if you have 4 players, you got one more than 3, so you can stack up into that front goal a little bit better if you have that coordination. And so we're seeing some good defense coming in here today from so far the Arenas, as we do have a point lead going up here from Vicious. There's another shot on goal, and I think that's 3 points locked in from Vicious in round 1 with minutes left. Only a minute left. Minute 20 on the clock here, Aiden.
Yeah, you mentioned stacking, as I did see Vicious do a little bit of that just now. So yeah, the terms of gameplay has definitely changed a little bit since I think the last weekend, or the last 2 weekends ago. But it's still nice to see people actively improving.
Here we go. Shot on goal, the first one onto Vicious's side of the arena, and it's a nice block. And a good pass over to Random, but an intercept. No, Mateo can't quite get their hands on it, and we brawl for ball control here. Pally over into the corner of Vicious. I think the first time we've really been over on this side of the arena. The shot goes in, Pally.
It's in.
Yeah, nice hit there, finally breaking the seal. It took them a few minutes and only 40 seconds left, but Orion was able to get that first goal, and that could at least carry some good momentum for them going into that next round, if nothing else.
Good pass over there to Condog up through the center. Sweet Tooth for the shot on goal down to the bottom line. And I mean, Aiden, those high-angle shots are impressive to see come in. A beautiful answer back from Vicious, instantly putting a point back on the board.
Yeah, they are, and in my opinion, they're the hardest to stop. You can't really look straight up when you're the goalie. So those shots, you know, it's really hard to predict where they're going to go. And these teams, they're using that beautifully to their advantage.
A little scoop up into the corner as we do battle for ball control from the Arenas. The time ticking down here. They're trying to keep it up off the ground, and it will drop down. Our first round in the books, pal. It's going to go to Vicious, but this is a best of 3, so we've got at least one more to go. But so far, I mean, these two teams out the gate, pal, this is an impressive opening for me to see already with some of these replays we've got.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Again, for the Rhinos, good defense being played at times, although they eventually, again, would concede those goals. But they held steady for a good amount of time there, with the offense a little too strong for Vicious's side. So it'll be interesting to see what the next round provides there. If, again, that late goal can maybe carry over to something good for the Rhinos. Again, it is best of 3, so you always have time to come back here. But, hey, I love to see it. I mean, very organized gameplay from both these teams.
So far,
yeah,
so
I
good.
definitely agree. And one thing that I think both of you will agree with is definitely momentum in the game. Momentum is so important to these teams, and I think that one goal from the Orinos, that's really going to give them that push. Sure, they were down by 3, but they got plenty of time, and that one goal probably gave them a nice bit of jump, if you will.
Crack on into round 2 here, 0-0 scoreline. A beautiful pass down to the long range to Condog, and then intercepted and brawled for into the corner. Vicious getting pressured for this early in the round, maybe the first time in a while here, as Random tries to dribble up through the center line and is again intercepted. A little bit of a fumble there on the bottom floor. Random scoops it up though as the clear doesn't really go to anyone, and Condog brawls for ball control.
And does that for just a second, but back to Blank. Blank will send it up high. Matthew, though, on the interception. Matthew finding Katetsa on a pass. Katetsa now trying to link one over, but will be Blood Moon able to secure that ball just for a moment. But Matthew again in the midfield. Possession rapid fire changing here as Matthew just tries to evade the defenders, and another turnover. So some back and forth gameplay here as these teams are still trying to break the seal on round 2, yet to have a score for either direction.
Condog on a bit of a breakaway here. The 1v1 breaking out. And they get pushed over into the corner. A little bit of a fumble there as they shoot for another shot on goal, but the defense is stacked up here. Mateo comes flying in at high speed with the tackle shot. It goes in. We love to see that there as the first point for round 2 gets scooped up.
Back to
Coming in like a truck there, just speeding into the goal and offering no opportunity for the goalie to do anything about that, but watch it fly in. But right on the reaction, oh, nice action, Condog with a save, and then back into the deep end. That might be an open goal conceded, but Condog just flying past the ball, unable to take advantage of that open goal just for the moment, although the ball going still back to Vicious here. Matthew trying to back it out.
1 point lead isn't a lot here, Aiden. They have a lot of very little wiggle room, rather, and we're seeing the Orinos kind of settle in, it feels like, into a bit of a rhythm in terms of battling back against this offense and preventing them from setting up.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it does take teams a little while to warm up, as Random is going to launch that one across. The intercept there from Serb, I think. Sorry. Going for the shot there. Blood Moon with the save, and it goes over to the right side now.
Nice swat away there. Random trying to get it out of the arena. The rest of the team piles up and away from goal for a second there as Condog tries to come flying in. A beautiful pass to Matt, the cross there to Kotetsu, but no, the tackle. Condog follows it up and puts it in.
I can't believe my
It was nice initially by Dynamic to tackle and let the ball loose, but there's just so much congestion there with the offense, able to get those putbacks. You know, you disable one player and another one still comes in and swooping for the score, as we might get one here, an open goal, and there we go. They break the seal here. They still have plenty of time to go. 2 minutes left. 1 point game.
That one trickled in, Aiden. I guess a lot like their open goal last round, it's just a little bit of out of position defense from Vicious.
I mean, if you have a team with such a heavy offense like defense, or like Vicious is, you're not always going to have a person on the back line. But yeah, more passes from Vicious over to the nest. Condog now having this one going for it. Oh, 2 goalies there. Blank user. It's a little fumble in the middle now. Konetsa slapping it in.
Wow, what a goal!
I find myself, again, impressed by the defense here from the Rhinos. They really are doing great to get multiple saves in a row, but it's that secondary assault, the rebounds that keep doing them in ultimately.
Yeah.
So seeing what they can do here, they need to catch up a little bit, only a minute and a half remaining. So still some time, but it is a best of 3, so this could be it for Vicious if they're able to keep this lead.
It's the little mistakes that are really hurting the Orinos here, too, because they are playing so well. but Vicious is just getting those little intercepts, finding a little bit of a follow-up that maybe they got lucky with, or that they orchestrated just a little bit better. You know, it's these small edge cases where we're seeing Vicious come out on top, and it's why they have only a 2-point lead right now, and Orions have been battling hard for every bit of ground here. As Condog does manage to scoop up again another bit of a fumble, getting a chance to push in to the zone of the Orions and pressure the Orions to, again, really just kill time at the end of the day. With only 45 seconds left, this could be, like you said, the last round of this best of 3.
And the last gasp here of air trying to get a score, and they do. Random able to slip one through, so not a lot of time remaining, but they do make it interesting here. 30 seconds left.
What do you do here, Aiden,
We're
if
back
you
on
are
it.
on the
Here we
offense? Do
go.
you hold the ball, or you go for another point here?
I mean, in terms of Vicious,
Oh.
of course they're going to go for another point. Just like that, as Kotetsa lays that in. A lot of other teams, though, they might hold that behind the midfield line.
ball
Just try and waste the time as much as they can, as Dynamic is now going to take this one up the field, finding a cross over to the left side.
Oh!
It's in the goal from Blood Moon.
What a match it's been. The sheer
The
athleticism,
goal getting
the
locked
tactical
in
brilliance,
from
the
Vicious. A
heart-stopping
beautiful
run.
toss and
Bring it
a,
all
I think,
to
4-3 victory. I might have
viewers
kept
on
the
Earth
score
and
wrong.
across the
We had to do it
continent.
manually
Thank you,
from
John.
Vicious as
Yes,
they
they sure
take
did want
the
power
second
down.
round in this best of 3 series. And that is a heck of a way to kick things off, Pally. Again, a really great back and forth in our first 10 minutes of the Pioneer Cup here.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought, again, going into this one, did recognize the players on Vicious, knowing them as a bunch of really sick Echo players. So you just in that sense, you kind of knew what to expect from them. And then their game being able to translate well to Orion Drift. But yeah, Orionos did really keep up quite well, and they showed that they are perfectly capable as well. Very close rounds both the times. Certainly not a blowout in any direction, and just very contested. Very nice to see, and I'm sure Orionos will have some more success going into the rest of the tourney, just based on what I saw there. But Vicious will take that win.
Yeah, their defense really stood out to me, Aiden. I think that's, again, going to be like the key element of a top-tier team, is how good can you stack back up on the back line and stop them from scoring.
Yep. Yeah, you know, their defense honestly really impressed me as well. It's something, I think, different that I've seen compared to all the other matches played. They are a more defense-focused team, but that doesn't mean they can't score. Because when they get to that offense, they have the setups. It's just in terms of the execution. Just to work on a little bit, I suppose. But this team definitely going to be one to be reckoned with.
Yeah, so far so good for round 1. We are going to take a brief break. We may jump into a best of 3 series that's still kicking on, if there are any, in our server. And if we come back, it'll be for one more round before we jump into round 2 of the 7-round Swiss bracket. So again, a lot of Orion Drift ahead of us. Don't go anywhere. Just a quick ad break, and we'll be right back.
Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. And somebody's
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pioneer Cup NA Day 3, as Palador mentioned, technically. But
Yeah.
we are here if with our first round pretty much done. Scores are being reported right now, and once they're all submitted in across the 26 matches that we have being played live, then we will dive into the start of round 2. We're getting a lot of those scores coming in now, so I think we actually have a couple more things to get reported, and then we're going to dive in. So we got to be quick about this. Palador, how did you feel about that first round? You know, again, we got the match highlights kind of just playing here through. A lot of great defensive plays, but then great pass work, too, that stood out to me this afternoon already.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit when we were off stream or during intermission, right? It's these teams that are so good. You know, these players, when they're so good, they're so easy to cast, right? Because everything they do, it's easy to follow. It makes sense. You can see the team play, you can see the pass work, the positioning, everything just made sense. And it's really lovely to see that those metas forming out and those passing plays being adopted. Again, credit to Rhinos because they did great to defend a lot of those shot attempts, but ultimately, yeah, it was just a very pleasant first cast of the stream. I certainly hope the rest of the day goes just like that one.
Yeah, me too. Aiden, how are you feeling after round 1 completing here? We're seeing a lot of 2-0s come in, a lot of teams sweeping their series in 2 rounds. You know, I wonder what, you know, if that's just how the score reporting is coming in, or, you know, if that's just because once you lose that first round, the mentality shifts a little bit.
I mean, I guess we'll, in the end, have to see, but at the same time, it did not stop the Orions. You know, they lost their first round, they kept going till the very end, even bringing it to a 1-point standstill over at that last round. But, hey, still plenty and plenty of games to be played today, and I think everyone here is looking forward to those.
Oh yeah, we are getting excited about our next round, which we are just a few minutes away from diving into, and we just want to give you a quick update on where things are, as all of the streams should be basically done now, and no live broadcasts are out. But when round 2 starts, all 3 streams will jump back into the action, and then we'll continue that cycle throughout the day for what should be 2+ hours of high-quality Orion Drift action. So we do appreciate you all sticking around, hanging out. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And also, if you don't know, VRML Con is happening. July 25th to the 27th, a 3-day VR esports event, 5 tournaments getting played out. You buy your ticket right now and you can get entry into the online qualifiers that are starting relatively soon, I think a month, 2 months from now. You can register your team for the Orion Drift online qualifier or any one of the 5 tournaments that we're hosting at VRMLCon. If you qualify online, then you fly you and your team out to the convention and participate on live stages, 2 stages at VRMLCon, broadcast out to the world, an audience to tune in and watch you, and on top of that, $5,000 for each tournament in prize pool. So a lot to fight for, a lot to look forward to. I'm super excited about the con. It's hosted at the Phoenix, Arizona Media Immersive Experience Center, which is a beautiful venue, and I'm really excited to put this game and a lot of other VRML esports games on stage. So definitely keep your eyes out for VRML Con July 25th to the 27th. Tickets are on sale right now. Go to vrmasterleague.com/VRMLCon for all the info you need. We're going to go to a brief break. When we come back, round 2 will be kicking off, so don't go anywhere. More Orion Drift action in a few minutes. welcome back, everybody. We are here and ready, waiting for round 2 to begin of this 7-round bonanza. The first round has a few hiccups that should have been sorted out, so I anticipate us to be getting into a little bit of a flow here as we get into the later rounds of the tournament. But we appreciate you all sticking around, hanging out, and waiting for us to get back into the action. We have teams jumping in right now to our arena for our next game, which is going to be Trash Pandas and Scrap Runners. And Pally, we were talking a little off stream, these two teams, at least some of them, carrying in their rosters some familiar faces.
Yeah, well, that was a case for that first match with Vicious there, and then
Right.
Same thing here now. Trash Pandas, that was a rather popular Echo team as well back in the VRML Echo Arena a few years back. Oliver Ending, Decipher Omen, Dino Nuggies, Wolfie.io, and Wiggles. We actually caught them on the first streams for Day 1, Part 1 a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And then on the side of the Scrap Runners, we have Tonigo, Pebbles, Peanut, and Ganja Flux, and also at least a couple Echo players in there, I do believe. Ganja Flux and OG, and Peanut possibly, not positive, but I think also possibly a Echo player there also. So nice to have a little bit of familiarity despite the new game, still same faces here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what's maybe even standing out as a point here, Aiden, is that these two teams, despite their experience, their roster history in Echo Arena, both of them have lost already in this tournament today. But both Trash Panda and Scrap Runners have taken L's already. So it makes me wonder what kind of level of skill we're going to see in the event as we get into those later rounds.
I mean, it's one of those things, too. You don't really know, each team's skill level yet. It is just a tournament. There's no MMR or anything like that to calculate. So who knows?
Right.
Maybe the teams that these two went against just were that good. Maybe we'll see a great game. I think we're gonna see a great game anyways, but I've seen Trash Pandas play, I think it was a scrim. They have really good passing, which I like. But,
They do.
we'll
I
see.
mentioned I saw a couple of them, Wolfie and Decipher Omen in Beer League the other night too, and even in that context, they were still really good with the teamwork and the passing. So, also, can I just shout out real quick on the YouTube side? We saw from the Orinos, blank user VR came into the chat, says, we were not very prepared for this tourney because most of our team got sick. I feel you there. Same here. Or grounded over the past week. Hope we can do better next time. Well, thanks for stopping by. Sorry you guys got grounded and or sick, but you guys did well still. Very impressive.
Yeah, and we do have other matches going on. So as much as I'd like to jump into this series, we are still waiting for the teams to show up. And I do think we just had round 1 start on the Orinos again as they go up against, I believe it is, let's see here on my bracket, Tyro Knights, I think, for the start of round number 1. So let's just dive into some action here. If it's already live, right? We've got the timer going here. I think we're just a few minutes down in the first round here. No points have scored yet as they battle for ball control out into the front line. And let me get the teams set up here as well for us to dive into the action. But I'll leave it off to you, Palador and Aiden, as we get the tech side sorted while the action unfolds in front of us.
Well, here we go. The ball being contested up at the bridge will be a random CVH with a dive into the goal and slapped out of there by the goalkeeper. Back to the midfield as random contests. I'm Chep, and I'll be crazy with the ball now, working up the midfield and has an angle but intercepted by Blood Moon. And Blood Moon diving on in with the ball, one-on-one, awesome sauce with quite an awesome save.
Yeah, now moving forward, going for that shot past the goalie. Kind of jumped up in the air, couldn't do much there. It's all right, though. I'm cheap. Now moving that forward. If you're cheap, you have a nice VR headset. But moving it forward, down the line, over to the left side. Demon VR trying to go for that shot to stop from Blood Moon. Moving it down the line once again. Awesome sauce on the intercept, going for the backboard. Not a shot or a pass. It's now in the hands of Random, who just clears that one over the middle.
Yeah, nice pass down to the midline here as we battle down in the sewers. Awesome Sauce backlining, making sure that they don't get pushed up. Dynamic trying to get up and get that ball control as Random pushes up, scoops it up on the backline, and they're going to do a little bit of reset here on the Orino as Blood Moon and Dynamic push forward. A big intercept here coming in. Demon looking for a shot on the goal, and they'll find it for their point. I think the first one going into Tyro Knight's pocket.
Yeah, the Doctor Pocket. Nice placement there on the goalkeeper to get their first points on the board.
That's an old one.
Yeah, shout out Dimwee.
Shout out Dimwee.
That was an interesting bounce off the wall there for Dynamic to get some momentum, and the shot onto Awesome Sauce gets denied. A wonderful hit there from the likes of the Orinos on the offense as it's held off there. No, excuse me. The defense of, maybe I have the teams wrong. I got to double check my rosters here as we do get into the beginning of round 1 of this best of 3 series. Demon pushing up in the midfield.
And Demon now with the ball being contested by Random. Ball going right back to possession of Dynamic. Dynamic now from the Skyway. Right down the line, just squeezes a pass by the defender as it'll be dribbled up the floor by Random. Random trying to gain control here, but being dove upon by the defender Demon. And now Dynamic also trying to contest, and they get the ball back for a second as Random works it up that floor. A couple of defenders now trying to give chase as it goes right back to the midfield. These players not afraid to reset the deep back line just to get their offenses sorted out and going again here.
Gotta get your push sorted and organized. It's hard, especially with your boost, to have everyone on the same page. It's a wonderful defensive slap away from the shot on goal there. Ends up in a huge clear and maybe an attempt at the goal if Random doesn't get down in time, but they will.
Now it's the sidewall there, right underneath the bridge. Will be taken back. And nice score. Attacked there by I'm Chep. What a chap.
Oh, I'm Chep, not I'm cheap. Oopsies. That's on me. But yeah, I love the way the defense got it down there. They fought for it till the very end. Even with that defensive over on the Orinos, sorry. They really got it past and just in the goal there. As Random is now going to go for a pass over to Blood Moon. Blood Moon trying to find a shot. The save there from Demon.
And I do have teams on the right side. Tyro is in red. We do have the Orinos in blue as they do push up into Tyro's zone. Again, the Orinos looking for a shot on goal, and they'll find it. Tied 2-2.
Yeah, nice competitive match here so far between these teams. As you noted, Knight, these two teams did drop their first match of the day, but clearly not for a lack of ability, because we already saw what the Rhinos are capable of, and now we're seeing what Tyro Knights are capable of. Both these teams playing very well so far to have a tied-up game.
Little ball control floating in the midfield here as they push forward, gets slapped away nicely by Dynamic Dire, and maybe
This is Sir Dimwat signing off.
I think I had scores. Maybe I missed a goal at some point at the start of the round, but the round does end, so we didn't go into overtime. Did I report? Was it? I might have given points to the wrong side. This is the problem of manual tracking, folks. So we do apologize for any technical difficulties, but we'll get it right for the next round, as we do get a little wave from the folks at home, and we do get ready for round 2 here. A minute in between. Is that enough, Pally, to really get your mind reset for another 5 minutes of action?
Maybe. Depends on the team. It's
Tyro Knights
one
took
of
the
those.
first round.
Excellent, thank you.
Who took the first round? The Knights?
Tyro
Game
Knights.
balls
I just
in
asked one of the
position.
players.
Good info. See, it's a collaborative stream here.
Oh,
But yeah, so you need to take this minute, as Knight noted, just to reorganize a little bit. Realizing that it was just a very close game, a very close round to begin with. So, just a little minor adjustments here as we do get started on this second round going underway right now.
Oh yeah, I just realized that Tyro Knights are in blue, but they're on red side, and the Rhinos are in red but on blue side. So that might be confusing for folks tuning in, but that is what's going on here this afternoon as Dynamic rushes back to their zone to defend, and the push coming in here from the likes of the Orinos looking to score on goal. Oh wait, no, it's so I have the teams swapped then. I think I have the teams on the wrong side. Let me double check. This is very hard to tell when you've got the Oh, no, I do have it
Yeah,
right. No, they're right. Tyro is on. It's so confusing. Tyro's on red. Sorry, folks. Anyway, into the action we go. Shot coming in there as it's blocked away by Awesome Sauce. And again, the push coming in here from the Orinos. They'll find their first point.
It warms my circuits to see it coming
They
alive
get a nice
again.
placement as well to hit right over the arms of the goalkeeper. A very precise and
Drift ball
with
resumes.
purpose. Not just randomly heaving it into the goal, looking for the right spot to get it past defenders.
Agreed, as Random's going to move that one down the field. Trying to find a shot. Losing possession of the ball. Demon will capitalize on that one. Dynamic Dire able to pick that one up on the back line, moving it forward. To hanging about on the nest. I'm Chep, pushing it forward. Crazy died too. Also pushing it. I'm Chep, once again with the defense. Trying to just get it out of there. Random will pick it up. Take it over to the middle. Demon, heavy pressure there. Getting it past 2 defenders. Oh, moving it down. Random going for the shot, and it's in the goal. What a goal it was.
What a speed demon that was. That was crazy. Just swooping by how many defenders in a row just to get right into a line drive to the goal. Nice moves.
A little bit of a tackle there and an intercept by Dynamic Dire, making an opportunity for a shot to cross. No one's here, and the entire defense gets back in time to fend off the breakaway. Blank user VR does scoop it up, passes it over to Random, and that's the backhand chop that doesn't quite go in, just a little bit wide. Scooped up by Dynamic. They'll follow it up. A good block, another good save as we fend off the shots on goal on the front lines of the Tyro Knights defense.
What a deep heave attempted there, but takes a bad bounce right off that nest area. Again, doesn't matter if it's Orion or Echo, the nest will often interrupt those shots. Unfortunately, it does get lost here. Blank user VR, we saw there in the YouTube chat between rounds, getting back in the game now, trying to get some scores underway as Dynamic sends it towards the midline. Over to Random, but unable to get that initially. Now we'll dribble up the floor, being chased by Demon, and off into the sewers and back in towards the pink side of the floor.
And we do have a little more midfield brawling going on here, a little more contention up on the front lines of the defense from both teams here. As the pass to the back line gets intercepted, Demons on a breakaway with the entirety of the team. They're pushing up for the 1v3. There's the shot to the high line, and it's saved by the Blood Moon.
Yeah, Blood Moon across these matches, both the first match of the day as well as this one, just showing that intensity in the goal, the ability in the goal to deny those shot opportunities. Now Random speeding by, and we've seen that repeated as a nice save goes from Awesome. That's another deja vu moment there. Awesome also having a couple saves in this round. But still, the offense staying on this side of the floor, and second attempt will be great. Getting past that awesome goalie there for another score.
It's a replay on top of a replay. We always love to see those because a beautiful defensive stop is followed up by then a really nice offensive regrab, and ultimately just a really good pass for shot on goal. The Orions are stepping it up off of their loss, their first round here, and I'm interested to see if we're going to see a best of 3. We may see a third round in this best of 3 if the Orions can put any more points on the board. They still have this 1-point lead, as it's been 4 minutes ticked down already off the clock.
Yeah, a lot of time passed, not a lot of scores quite yet, but indeed Oriono's trying to force that next round. Blank user, great pass, trying to send it back towards Blank, and they do just that. So some good team play, but the defense really quick on their feet, able to man mark their players on the defense, as it does get sent back to the midline for a reset. Blood Moon sending it high towards Random, Random being cut off, and has just forced into a haphazard fling where Blank user does retain, and maybe a great pass opportunity there, as it will be a score. Dynamic sailing in from the top.
Yeah, what a goal there from Dynamic. Awesome Sauce now with the ball. Moving it forward on the
The
side. of
arena
Tyro
rips up
Knights.
again.
They move that one all the way down the field, not being pressured by anyone just yet,
And the
though.
final whistle blows.
And that's the
What a
first
match.
round, or second round,
The
sorry.
sheer athleticism,
We're going to
the
third.
tactical brilliance.
Yeah, we are going to a third. The Orinos grab a second round in this best of 3 series, and we get ready for round number 3. Plenty of action ahead of us, Pally, and I think already into a great bit of a battle as we look at the replays and highlights from this series. Huge defensive plays, and ultimately, again, the pass work shining here in these first 2 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, these teams did drop their first game, but not for a lack of skill. You can see it on display fully by both these teams here. And pleasant to say, happy to say, we are going to a third round as a result.
Yeah, I think it's our first round 3, obviously. We're into only the second map we've tuned into. The Orionos fortunate enough that we've been watching their games, and it just kind of happens to go that way as we do get ready for round number 3. The ball in the center of the arena, and Tyro Knights, the Orionos, tied 1 apiece to see who's going to take this series.
Also, indeed, shout out to Dimwee, also in the YouTube chat I just saw. So, say his name and he appears.
Yeah. Isn't it Dim Watts now?
I guess, I don't know. Dimwit, Dimwee, Dimwat. He's a man of many dim names.
We just know that he's dim in some form or fashion, right?
Hey, don't talk about my friend like that.
As we do get into it, again, a bit of brawling up through the midfield here, Aiden. No one really gaining control yet as they're kind of feeling each other out in this third round. Maybe a little bit more defensive on both sides.
Yeah, maybe so. I am noticing the offense isn't pressuring as much, but as I say that, Blink User going all the way up and around, going for a shot. Awesome Sauce with the save. Coming back up, Dynamic Dire able to recover that one. Gonna go for a pass, maybe a shot. Just gonna go for the shot himself for 1 point.
The solo
That's
play.
1 point for the...
Play resumes.
Like we lost Aiden there for a second, but wonderful solo play. And speaking of solo play, Blank User scoops up the intercept, looks for the shot on goal, and finds it, but it's denied by, again, beautiful defensive goalie work from Awesome Sauce, who's been key on this back line to stop things from getting out of control from the likes of the Orionos.
Yeah, I know we don't have stat tracking yet, but as another shot gets past Awesome that time. But we've seen Awesome save several shots.
Yeah.
But again, as the case always is, a great offense will always beat a great defense when it comes down to it. You can only stop a talented offensive player so many times before you get a score, just like that one.
A little bit of a stack push there from the duo as we swat around for ball control into the midfield, looking for the pass, looking for the slap out to the center, looking for the clear out. Demon can't quite get control. The jump up from Imchep can't get the slap up to the center, and defense again from the Orionos prevails. The back line swatted away by Dynamic. No, we fight for the midfield control still as we go down into the sewers. Shep dodges one, bounces off the wall for a wonderful dribble. Shot on goal goes in.
Wow.
Well, the stiff arm enabling that play. Initially a great save, but then the tackle of sorts created just enough space for that ball to slowly roll into the goal.
The bounce off the sidewall, Aiden, that's some high-level maneuvering right there as we do maybe get a one-on-one challenge. No, 1v2. Blank User's going to step up, shot up to the top, cleared, and no, quickly denied. But again, Aiden, that was a wonderful solo play and push up for that shot.
Yes, it was. I unfortunately lagged for half of it, but I think I'm back. Blank User now moving it forward, trying to find a shot. Dynamic Dire. There it is. Another point on the board.
Just keep stacking them up here, Pally.
Yeah, nice shot, and again, just the placement, because they can tell, they already know that that they're a threat inside the goal. Awesome Sauce is a threat inside the goal defensively, and so just making sure to place it above the arms. Again, shooting your shot with
That is an
purpose.
top Pally.
Yeah.
Again, mid-controlled brawling going on as time ticks down. Minute 45 on the clock. A solid lead locked in by the Orionos, but anything can be chipped away pretty quick. A lead like that isn't something to really get comfortable with quite yet as the intercept comes in from Imchep. They can find a nice open goal. Long shot there as Dynamic rushes back and does get in time to the goal. So again, it just comes down to if you catch this over-aggressive offense coming in here from the Orionos or not as they continue to execute. Wonderful pass work here to get the center push. Random switches over to Blank, and Blank can't quite scoop it up. On the Blood Moon can't quite get it either, and Crazy and Imchep brawling for control time, taking down Pally.
And Chep will lose handles on the ball, though, as Blank User tries to regain possession for them. Will be swooped in and taken by Dynamic. Dynamic now a deep heave, but a couple of defenders down there. So maybe a little bit of an ambitious attempt. But Blood Moon will secure a shot very nicely, bouncing it into that top right corner, and gets them another goal.
That could be the nail in the coffin, Aiden. That's time ticking down now again, 40 seconds. Mathematical, what is it, Pally? I can't remember what we used to say. It's mathematically
Mathematical
impossible.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, shout out to Tutorial Bot from way back in the day. That was kind of his phrase he coined on casting. On accident, but it kind of became a meme afterwards.
My
Mathematical
wandering
time.
stars. Have you seen how the parkour district is
Battling
transforming?
for it
And
here,
then it's
15
used
seconds
everywhere.
left. Yeah, not a lot left to work with here on the Tyro Knights side as the Orinos. Again, up to 1-1 on rounds, and now 4-0 will take it. It's the Orinos in red on blue, winning their third round in this best of 3, and I imagine we're going to be going pretty quickly into our last round, or excuse me, round 3 of this round 7. There's so many rounds that we have in front of us. We got to figure out different terminology for what is a best of 3 match, maybe for each 5 minutes section that gets played out. But regardless, Aiden, what are your thoughts here as we do have these 2 rounds in the books, and the Orinos now with a win in their pocket?
I loved it. Seeing the Orinos, I mean, you know, they were very defensive last time we casted them. And seeing them more offensive, it was really good to see. Seeing them connect with those passes. You know, they just weren't able to in their last game. But I like the dynamic. I don't know. I thought it was a really good game.
I'm still looking at that bounce off the sidewall for the solo goal that came in. That was a heck of an impressive replay that we managed to catch. And I think we're going to see some crazy stuff like that as we do, again, get deeper into these rounds. More undefeated teams playing against each other. The Orinos may still have a shot as they do pick up this win, but we are yet to see, as we do still have, again, plenty left before us this afternoon. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's going to be more. Pally, any thoughts before we go?
Oh, no, I'm just excited to see what happens next. You know, these teams now, I think, warming up over the course of the matches.
No.
And that's how it is in tournaments sometimes, right? So you get hotter and hotter and sweat more and more. And I think these teams are locking in now after their initial losses. You know, they're looking good.
Yeah, I do agree. We will see how things shape up for future rounds. Just going to be a few minutes from now. We're going to go to a brief break. When we come back, more Orion Drift Pioneer Cup action. Don't go anywhere.
Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2-way.
Match point.
welcome back, everybody. We're minus a Palador, so let's adjust that. We do miss him already. And we're plus an Aiden, which
It'll
we
never
have.
be the same.
That's okay. It's okay, Aiden. We're here together, and we're getting ready for round 3. And as we wait for scores to get reported in here in what is the last few matches getting played, the last few series being played, I do just want to reflect on the highlights from the last 2 series we've tuned into. And again, for better, talking about some really not. I saw this happen multiple times, but the dribbling, Aiden, the bounces off the sidewall,
Yeah.
the bounces up in, off the high wall, the ceiling. It's really interesting to see these kinds of maneuvers coming in from these top tier teams. I mean, essentially, and it makes me wonder it's impressive, I suppose, that Tyro Knights have been beaten twice, because they certainly looked good against the Orinos, and the Orinos did manage to squeak ahead there, but some great series that have been really hard fought so far today, with really strong defense coming in, I think, and that also stands out to me. So the dribbling and defense, I think, are the 2 things I intend to really put a lot of focus into here in these next few rounds. I think it's going to be what stands out the most.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And the recent metas that I'm realizing too is a lot of times these teams go for backboard passes, right? And as some of you may know, a lot of the Orion Drift early access players were from Echo Arena. So I feel like they did take a page from that playbook. Except being goalie there is a lot more difficult, because you have to look straight up. You can't turn around. There's a wall in the way.
Right.
So you can't just turn around and look. There's not a gap there. It's just plenty of space. So yeah, a lot of players taking advantage of that and using that to their offensive advantage, which is one of those things that's really interesting to see.
Yeah, and we are now just a team away from having scores reported in and us getting ready to dive in to round number 3 of 7 in this Swiss bracket. Because again, Aiden, there's 50-plus teams participating in this tournament, which is still, I think, so maybe one of the larger events we've hosted outside of the 2 weekends ago when we had over 100. It's still a tremendous amount of teams jumping in here to participate in our first ever NA, Orion Drift event. So I'm just impressed to see all the participation we've been getting.
Yeah, me too. It's good to see. Especially because this one was more of a shorter notice, but I know a lot of people who have also gotten the time off just to do this event. So yeah, it is good to see.
Yeah.
And this is not the only event that's going to be held either. We have the kickoff events calendar, which is Ignition Cup next, May 31st to June 1st. It's also an online open qualifier with a $1,000 cash prize pool.
Yeah, we really do appreciate the contributions coming in from the likes of another Axiom and their support for the competitive scene. It's awesome to see them committed to contributing into the prize pool space, and I'm just happy that we've got such wonderful support from this team so far. And again, you can see the bracket up here, or excuse me, the schedule up here, May 31st, June 1st. But then again, the big one, VRML Con, the Phoenix Invitational, where you get a chance to qualify to play live on stage at Phoenix, Arizona, at the Media Experience Immersive Mix Center for a $5,000 prize pool. So there's a full day of Orion Drift that we have planned for Sunday that I'm looking forward to, Aiden. And we're starting to look forward to round 3. So we're going to take a quick break. When we get ready, we should be diving into more action. So don't go anywhere. Round 3 coming up in maybe just a few minutes' time. So again, we appreciate you all your patience, and we appreciate you all hanging out this afternoon. Hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends. We're probably going to put a post out on Discord for a bunch of folks to tune in and start diving in round to round until we finish this Swiss bracket. And then tomorrow, Aiden, we've even got more action, but we'll talk about that later. We've got, again, a lot of day left here for the Pioneer Cup, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. We are here and preparing for our next matchup, round 3 of the Pioneer Cup. If you're just tuning in, we appreciate you stopping by. My name's Nightfire with 2 E's. This is my co-caster, Aiden VR. And so far, Aiden, really good games have been played out, and now we start to get into meat and potatoes. 2 undefeated teams so far throughout this tournament, into their 3rd round, and getting ready to dive in to the action. How are we feeling about Lawn Patrol versus Crane Gang?
I am feeling good. I know how a lot of these players play, and I'm just now realizing what teams they are. But yeah, I'm feeling great about the games. We've had 2 awesome games to start us off for today, and I think this is the last one for today, right?
No, we have 7 rounds to be played out. Aiden, we got
Today?
Yes, today, because then tomorrow is the 16 teams that qualify through playing out in a single elimination tournament.
Okay,
and here we go.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We got a lot left, a lot ahead of us. Round 1, kick it off between these 2 teams. In the red is Lawn Patrol. In the blue is Crane Gang. And into the action is us.
Our new Driftplex is ready for action.
Yeah, it is. So
With
we get a
overflow
nice
arenas
start
and
there
plenty of
from
space to
Crane Gang.
protect those
Swag War moving it forward, having to pass over to the right side. Goblin going for that shot, and it's in the goal. That Green Pigeon is not able to stop that one.
Already opening it up with a big W.
arena
A
lives up
solid
again.
job as Swag War swings over into the corner to try and intercept, and does intercept. Crash and Tux finds an open goal. It's 2 quick points on the board for the likes of Crane Gang.
Yeah, Crane Gang, great start. That Green Pigeon over to the left side now. It's going to be in the hands of King Icy. King Icy trying to find Green Pigeon. Doesn't get it initially. Goes back to King Icy. Icy on the floor. Pass it over. Bounds with the save. And the clear is good. This is a fire game so far, Nightfire.
Yeah, really solid job coming in from Crane Gang as we do get ready to dive into a push coming in here, and apologies for the technical issues on the scoreboard as another point gets locked in from Crane Gang. I think that's 3 now for Crane Gang to 0. Yep. There we go. Finally got them updated, and we're back into the focus of the camera work. We apologize for not having the ball always in sight there. Again, tech issues will periodically happen, but for now we're into a push from Green Pigeon. Nice cross to the center from King. Another pass down to Green, and oh, the shot to the high bar misses. That would have been perfect.
You know, guys, all great productions have tech issues, so that's just one of them. Oh my God, long shot!
Yes.
I did not expect that. What?
Oh, and
a
I just
shot.
realized
I think
we're
that was
into a
swag.
2v4. Green Pigeon and Kingsley are all that they have on Lawn Patrol here this afternoon, so
They had 2 others, I swear.
I thought so too. I thought there was a full squad on defense here, but the duo is all that's left. And Crane Gang just kind of keep piling points up on the board as Green Pigeon now again has to push
Driftball
forward.
frenzy restarts.
Yeah, they do push that forward, trying to get as far as they can with the 2 people that they have. What a pass over to King Icy, moving it forward 2 versus 1 with that goalie there. Baz now in possession of it. There was an open goal for a split second, not going to take it go. Gonna play the safe game, go with the pass over to Swagwar. Swagwar back to Baz. Baz having an opportunity to score here. Just gonna fumble it around for a little bit. Try and find a pass to Goblin, who's up in the air. And that's the first. That's a mercy.
Sure is.
Year of human exploration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6-0
The
in
beauty of
round
Driftball
1 here
knows
out the
no
gate
boundaries,
for
and
Crane
neither does
Gang,
our
and as you'd
appreciation
expect
for you,
from
our
a 4-2. We do have other games we can tune into, and so we may just jump in mid-round to another series. I do think we have
Like Vicious and
Blizzard OD.
yes,
Could do that. We
that
can
is
pop
across the
over.
field from us.
Yep. We do have several games live being played out here. Again, I think 26
Vicious is gonna be
matchups coming in here as we do get into, again, a round we don't know the time of, but hey, gameplay is gameplay, and there's a lot of it this afternoon as we do get into round 1 of this series. At the very least, I can tell you that much. Scoreline, we don't know. We'll find out once it's reported in, and we'll reset the scores here as we do get into some pass work. Asher on Blizzard OD in purple, trying to push forward towards red side. Mateo blocking things off on the black line as Vicious do push up for a attempt on goal. The wall carving, the ceiling carving, something that really stands out to me as a key maneuver that you got to be able to do if you want to be a solid attacker on offense, and there's a solid attack from Vicious.
What a play!
Yeah, very solid attack there from Vicious. Down in the hands of Blizzard OD.
Ball's in play.
Starting that one off over with a pass to, I believe that was
And
Perk.
that concludes today's
And
match.
that's going to conclude
All
round
argument,
one.
whether you're
Again,
watching from the
not sure
comforts
who
of
won
Earth
that
or the
one, but we'll
frontier
figure it
of
out
human
after. We'll be fine.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, we'll have Aiden go in and do some recon work right now as I buy time, and we get ready for round number 2. Our timer actually almost accurate from the last game, which was a mercy, an unfortunate 4v2. This one seems that everyone is in order and in lobby, and we do have a 4v4. So I am looking forward to the second round of this one. Again, once we know who has scored, we're in that in-between time of rounds right now, and we'll be into the action shortly. So we do appreciate, again, everyone stopping by, hanging out, and tuning in with us today. It's just me and Aiden on the main stream. There's multiple broadcasts live right now across multiple streams, so do be sure to tune in and catch all the action as we do go into round 2 of this best of 3 series between Vicious in red and Blizzard OD in blue.
They're off like a rocket.
And Vicious took that first round, by the way.
Excellent.
So good on them. Vicious, once again, laying that one off with the Thunder. What a great start. Condogby trying to get it past. It's Callus, though, with the stop. Moving it now around the middle. Trying to get past that defense line, but Sweet Tooth is there. And open goal. There it is, 1 point.
What a play!
Easily sunk in there as an early point going into the hands of Vicious out the gate.
Play.
But a nice bit of pass work is really what's going to be required here from Blizzard OD to push themselves up around and push this to a 3-round series. Callisto with a great pass up to the top, then they're slammed down to the goal. Gets denied as Asher watches from the top line. Condog scoops it up, but fumbles in the midfield. Still will be able to scoop it up. Again, dribbling off of that top wall to regain control and now pushing up for their attempt. Their shot on goal. No, the pass up to the top line just a little bit high. Kotetsu misses it. Sweet Tooth looking for it, but they get blocked out as Asher brawls for ball control in the corner of their side and eventually swats it out to the midfield.
Yeah, Callus going for that shot. The goalie's on the back line, though. Matthew is there. Callus still pressuring really heavily. It does end up in Sweet Tooth's hand. Now moving it around, maybe going for a little back pass. The stack there, you saw it. Sweet Tooth now moving it forward rapidly down. Going for the shot. Ooh, maybe a pass to Kotetsa. I don't know. Another pass to Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth with the shot, and it's in the goal. Condog just giving it that last little push of encouragement.
Last little touch puts Vicious up 2-0, but it's only 2. Some good defense coming in there at the end of the day to fend off the initial attack, but they couldn't quite coordinate to hold off and get that ball out of their zone. A little bit of a fumbling on the pass work here as they set up for the cross. Asher up high, misses. Callisto coming in for the shot down and finds it. The tackle shot in puts Blizzard OD for their first point on the board.
Wow, what a play there by
Drift ball
Blizzard OD.
frenzy
Looking a little
restarts.
shaky at first with that shoddy pass work. I don't want to say shoddy. That sounds mean.
No.
But it was a little shaky, but they got it in. Good on them. It's now in the hands of Vicious. Matthew going for a cross pass over to Condog. Condog to Kotessa on the back line. The
Nice.
stop from Nova is him, and the clear all the way down.
A big clear that puts the ball all the way back into Vicious's zone. Only a 1-point lead here in round 2. Vicious obviously looking to take the series in 3 as Sweet Tooth and Condog stack their way up through the middle. Condog vaulting with Sweet Tooth on the back line, pushing forward, but Asher playing an aggressive defense on the front of Sewers, gets the ball into Callisto's hands, looking for the 1v1, and they'll find the goal. We're tied up 2-2. 2.5 minutes into our second round.
Yeah, Blizzard tying that one up nicely. Great play there. It's a pass over to the right side. Now Condogby over back to Kotetsa. Kotetsa to Matthew or Sweet Tooth, just missing both of them though. It's going to fly over to that right side. Sweet Tooth will recover, going for a nice reset to Condog once again. It's going to be in the middle for a second. Asher going to pick that one up. Pass over to the left side. Won't hit a teammate right away, but does end up getting there. Nice little defensive control there from Condogby and Kotetsa.
Whoa, and they're not ready for the aggressive tackle that comes in as Callisto battles for ball control inside the zone of viciousness, but it does make their defense on the back line a little weak, so the double stack getting tackled nicely by Asher denies that, and we're seeing some interesting, means of denying this really fast forward aggressive momentum, and a beautiful block comes in as well, worthy of a highlight. Mateo scoops up the rebound though, passes to Sweet Tooth. The shot on goal there is followed up on and finally goes in. And Vicious back in the lead with only a minute left.
You know, Nightfire, I have to give a shout out to Nova is him on the goalie line. Absolutely doing amazing to stop those constant shots from Vicious. But Callisto, whatever you say the name, it's going to be trying to get that in, but Condog beat with the quick slap all the way down the field. Asher, not having that one, slapping it right back over. Nova is him, not able to get a hand on it. Instead, it's going to fly back to Vicious, but Callisto able to get the intercept, going for the shot, and the shot is in. It is 3-3. We have a tied game, Nightfire.
Yeah, and we're getting close to the end of this round's timer, so we could be going into overtime. A wonderful stack push has Sweet Tooth flying forward with the ball in their hands, but Callisto denies the swing from the corner. A big intercept here from Mateo keeps the control into Vicious's paws, but only for a short amount of time. The defense is so aggressive and in the face here. It might be overextending. No, the pass goes a little bit wide for Sweet Tooth, and it allows an opportunity for the defense to get back in control. Those little moments, those small mistakes can make it or break it in top-tier competitive Orion Drift. As we battle for ball control, getting closer and closer to overtime, swatting forward into the corner of blue here. Ultimately, no one really finding much. This is finally swatted into the midfield. And basically, we reset with the ball going over into Vicious's zone, but Callisto missing the scoop.
Yeah, we are now in overtime, ladies and gentlemen, as Matthew picks that one up. Whoever scores will take the round. Will it be Vicious? Will they take it? Or will it be Blizzard OD? It's up over on the Halo now. Kotetsa gonna pick that one up. Acer on the back line, able to intercept, go for a left pass. Won't hit anyone. Sweet Tooth gonna recover.
Yeah, and everyone playing a little bit defensive here. No one really overextending, waiting for everyone to have the boost they need to go for a full push in to the midfield here. As Sweet Tooth passes to the top line. Mateo looking for the slap to the back, and Perp pushes up for the tackle. Condog up on the high ground for the shot down low, and Mateo follows it up. That's coordination. That's Vicious pushing forward, taking the series 2-0.
I can't tell if you're calling him Mateo on purpose or not.
How else would you say it?
Matthew.
That's definitely not how you spell Matthew. If that's how you're going to say Matthew. Your name gets pronounced how you spell it, and when I cast it. So I recommend you go for accurate spelling if you want a good cast. But yes,
Good talk from Nightfire.
a solid bit of work there from Vicious, going up into quick rounds, and ultimately the best of three locked in by Vicious. I think we have a few other games that are getting played out right now. We'll see if there's any round threes that are starting up. For now, I do still see some action live. A round just ended in this arena.
Pretty much everyone else is still going.
Yeah, I think that series just finished. I think everyone is wrapping up. We'll come back if we have another round to catch for our third round of this long Swiss bracket here this afternoon. It's going to be really a trial of stamina at the end of the day, because you're going to have to go 4 more rounds, 4 more best of 3 series coming up for a lot of these teams, and I'm excited when we get down into the nitty gritty, Aiden, of these top squads that are undefeated throughout this whole afternoon. Yeah. And they're fighting up against each other for a chance to move on to tomorrow, where we have only 16 teams qualifying through, where eventually, at the end of tomorrow, we'll only have 1 team that comes away with the Pioneer Cup Championship for North America. It's exciting times, a lot of Orion Drift competitive action ahead of us here this afternoon, so don't go anywhere or go somewhere else. We do have multiple streams live right now, so there may be other games, other action to jump into. Great commentary and casters coming in from Martini, Gibular Bob, and the entire crew, so I do recommend you stop into the other channels live on the network. But we're going to go to a brief break, and we come back, another round of action. So don't go anywhere. More NA Pioneer Cup coming up. Welcome back, everybody. We're here live in the Pioneer Cup, and round 3 is finalizing. Scores are getting reported in live right now as we speak. Almost every game has completed here, so we should be getting into round 4 shortly. And Aiden, we're getting into the meat and potatoes of things here, to say the least. That last series that we managed to catch was a stellar back and forth between two very solid teams, where we saw some great pass work at the end of the day that came together for some big plays.
Yeah, no, some honorable mentions here. One of them being vicious. Their passing was, well, as the name suggests, it was vicious. And it was awesome to see. There's a few other teams that I want to give shout outs to, like the Tyro Knights and the Orinos. That was a very great match.
Oh.
What was your favorite so far, Nightfire?
I think it's the best of 3 we jumped into midway through. It's just fun to see a series come down to that 3rd round. And I'm happy that we did get to watch such a great bit of teamwork at the end of the day coming in, the alley-oops coming through, the solid bit of pass work there you can see coming in for that shot on goal that just hit the high bar from the duo. Sometimes it only takes 2 to make a good sequence come together for a shot on goal, as we saw multiple attempts coming in from that duo there, but at the end of the day, a 2v4 not quite manageable when it comes into a tournament phase where you got to be competing against teams that have been practicing for now multiple weeks, right? The 4v4 build has been out a while. These squads have been scrimming. They've had 2 extra weeks to practice and get ready, and I feel like maybe we're seeing a little bit better gameplay because of that. We're seeing really solid team layout where you're seeing one goalie sitting on the back line pretty consistently, and that person is a goalie. They specialize in knocking that ball out of the goal, and you can see their familiarity with the mechanics in their ability to deny these shots.
Yeah, and these 4v4 arenas are special. The extra 2 weeks have given these teams much more time to kind of prepare and scrim and see what works and what doesn't. I think the first week we casted this, it was definitely a lot different. People were still trying to figure stuff out. Yeah. Now, it's kind of more set in stone. These teams have found their footing, if you will. And, the gameplay is just a lot more on top, I guess.
I wonder if we're going to see this as a developing meta too, Aiden, is where these teams consistently have a tough time getting to that round 3. The best of 3 series, it gives you really realistically 1 minute to reset your mind. If you just come off of a loss, you have to quickly recoup and then win that next round. You can't afford to lose it, or you've lost the series. I wonder if maybe because momentum was such a big thing in a game like Echo, and we're seeing it being a big thing here, if that's why we're seeing so many 2-0s right now. Maybe it's just the early rounds. Maybe we're going to see more best of 3s coming up, in future rounds of this Swiss bracket. But for now, at least, the back and forth is seemingly one-sided when it comes to if you win that first round or not.
Yeah, more on momentum, like we had, back in Echo. Yeah. Momentum, very important thing for these teams, right? If you lose that momentum, your team's momentum isn't just as good. You're not going to play as well. Sometimes that 1 minute reset, taking a talk with your team, just being like, guys, we can do this. Just put the hype back into your team. Normally, teams play a lot later, a lot better.
Yeah, the pep talk, as you say. And maybe these later rounds, teams are going to be more warmed up. We're going to see more consistent back and forth. We only have a few more scores to get reported, and then round 4 will begin. So we're going to cut to another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be diving back into the action. So don't go anywhere. More Orion Drift Pioneer Cup action coming up. Welcome back, everybody, to the Pioneer Cup, hosted live on the VRML network. My name is Nightfire with 2 E's, and we are now joined by another infamous voice in the space of VR esports and the arena. You may recognize it. It is Sir Dimwee, Sir Dimwatt. The many names of the Dim is what we know you by, Sir Dimwee. How are you feeling today?
Oh my circuits! I'm feeling fantastic, of course. Got some drift ball action going on right now, and I've been watching since the beginning. This has been some drift ball match, and I'm so excited for this next matchup.
Yeah, it is Valiance versus IVNA, Aiden. These are two pretty dang solid teams in the space of Orion Drift. I anticipate us to have a very good series this afternoon if both teams bring their A game.
I do too. You know, both these teams once again have kind of made a name for themselves as some of the top teams competing. So it should definitely be an interesting one. We have Sir Dimwee over here with his Orion Drift drip. Looking good, man.
Oh yeah, exclusive stuff.
Hat and the this little real tech. I had an Orion Drift one, but as I was putting it on, the little connector snapped. I couldn't actually wear it, so I threw on the Gorilla Tag one because that's the game I actually work the most on. But Orion Drift, of course, is the future.
Indeed, it is, and we do have some players jumping in to lobby slowly and surely here. So we will be getting into our first round match of this best of 3 in round 4. Again, we have a long day ahead of us today. We're across multiple streams, so if you are tuning in here, be sure to get the multi-stream live, have your monitors filled with Orion Drift, VRML Pioneer Cup action, and watch all of the streams at the same time. Split your eyeballs into 3 different monitors. It's worth it. You'll be in the esports zone, as we say, because again, we're putting on a lot of different broadcasts, all hosted by great new and existing VRML casters. So we're just happy to see especially this community come out so big, Dimwee. You know, I think it's so great to see such a huge showing for our first ever tournament in the VRML side.
Well, also to point out that you're getting an exclusive look at the competitive 4v4 that's coming in Drift Ball. That, of course, a work in progress. Everything you're seeing is probably going to change. It's going to change based on your feedback. Part of what makes this such a big draw, though, of course, is getting access to the 4v4 build, to being able to compete in the upcoming, competitive 4v4 arena. Much bigger arena, a lot more room for action, a lot more room to set up plays and passes, and you just see some beautiful drift ball action coming out from that.
Yeah, I mean, you throw up the replays again. We've been talking about them so far this afternoon, but the defensive work in particular, something that stands out to me, the goalie being something that's really more vital in this 4v4 arena because that goal is a little tighter. So that goalie holds more value, in my opinion, than in 3v3 because they can do more. They can be more effective by sitting on that back line and blocking shots like we see there from Nova. Again, just some really good, high-quality Orion Drift this afternoon so far, and basically all of these highlights. So I've been super happy with what we've tuned into today.
And I'm curious, Aiden, if you've seen any, what meta has kind of slowly been developing here in the 4v4 arenas, because of course it's going to be a little bit different than what we typically play and see in the 3v3 arenas. Have we seen anything notably different from these players in the 4v4s?
Regrabbing, didn't we? That is something that I've noticed start to grow a lot more. I'm pretty active in the comp scene. You don't see regrabbing a ton, but in this 4v4 scene over here, I've seen it quite a bit from each team. I think it was Vicious was doing it quite a bit in their earlier games, and it's one of those things that those Echo players just took from Echo, and they're making it their own here, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, and it works. I mean, they really do get some good speed. And then you're seeing some players even able to carry that momentum, obviously, using the mechanics of Orion Drift to fly even faster alone after their boosts out, after their double stacks. It's a lot of fun. The wall carving in particular holds a lot more value when you stack boost your way up through that front line and you come out through the middle and you can wall carve with that extra speed. You can do some really effective jukes And that's, I think, one thing that I've seen that's really fun to watch in this game that stands out amongst maybe any other esport that we broadcast is those jukes, Dimwee. I love to see the dribbling, the bounces off the sidewalls, the excellent pass work too, obviously, but that's something we're familiar with. But really, again, it's that dribble work that stands out as a unique element in this game.
I love to see it as a spectator, and I love to see it from the sidelines. But when I'm playing the game, I don't know. I've broken my wrist a few too many times on some solid jukes from some very talented players. So love to see it when I'm not playing against it, of course. Aiden.
Yeah, it is one of those things I love to see. I hate getting juked out. It is one of my least favorite things. Especially
it makes you feel slow.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
Oh, and that's one thing that I think we don't talk nearly enough about, just as the raw mechanics. Just the ability to move as effectively as these players do is something that's just like, it's just happening in the game. They're just flying around, wall carving, doing this stuff. And it's like, that is hard to do. That is not an easy mechanic to master. And they already have, in a lot of ways, mastered it.
Yeah, they really have. It's really impressive to see. It's really hard to. I know when I pop into competitive games, I have a really difficult time keeping up. I also want to. You touched on bringing the regrabs over previous communities. I'm recognizing some of the names. I believe on Valiance. Is it no IVINA? Nadash, Mozzie, JDG is here. Are all names that I've casted several times over the years. I've met Mozzie and JDG a few times. In person, so really excited to.
I haven't met JDG.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, JDG, I met at what was that? The Nepal actually.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, and speaking of LAN, VRML Con coming up in July, something to look forward to. Obviously, a whole Sunday of Orion Drift action, and just this in live on-stage form. It's going to be really cool to see these players working their way around on that stage, through all these mechanics, through all of the motion. I can't wait to be able to tie that together with the live in-person perspective. So that's all going to be happening July 25th to the 27th. The qualifiers starting relatively soon. You can register your team right now if you go and buy a ticket for VRML Con. There's a $5,000 prize pool at the end of the day for the top team that comes out of the VRML Con tournament, and also just a great time to meet up. I think meeting up in person is one of my favorite things to do in the VR space, because you kind of already know these players. You've met them in VR, and I've stalled long enough. Round one, ready to kick off between these two teams. We have Valiance in red, we have IVNA in blue, and round one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are go for launch.
There you are.
Yeah, familiar voice as we get started here is Dash. We'll bring this one in. Oh, looking for a quick shot, but the goalie will get the big stop, send them one away. Mozzie looking for the reset. What a heads-up play there by Mozzie to send them one back to JDG, who handles this one beautifully. Up high, sends it. Piggles, big shot. Big goal. That's your first goal of the game there.
Yeah, I think
very aggressive so far.
Technical difficulties on my side. What arena are we in, gentlemen? I flew around to the wrong. Oh, here we go. I'm back into it, and we apologize there as that goal comes through, and Mozzie slaps in another one. That's a quick two, getting scooped up.
Yeah, that is another quick goal there for IVINA. Looking really strong so far. Valiance haven't exactly had the time to get their footing yet, but I'm pretty sure they will soon.
Yeah, Plunge will clear this one out to the near side wall, and Valiance will get possession, but only for a moment. Mozzie doing some big, heavy work there on the back line. That's the second time Mozzie has stopped an opportunity. Now, Nadash going to get a stop on it, although a good defensive play there by Valiance to get it back. Valiance will turn it back around. But there's JDG now at mid. That is every single player there on Ivy getting in on that defensive action. They get the goal.
What quick passing plays there from IVINA once again. It is one of those things that I think an Echo too. Mozzie and JDG too. They all had that connection with each other, able to find the passes wherever they were in the arena. The long shot almost in, just to the right.
That would have been bad news. One way to get back, I guess to keep the momentum going. A 3-0 lead is pretty nice here going into, again, your undefeated rounds. I don't think either team has lost yet in this tournament. As a shot to the back line goes in there, threading the needle. Another point going into the IVNA squad. They're 2 away from dangerous territory. The Mercy getting close here in the late stages of the Pioneer Cup, our fourth round this afternoon.
Yeah, very close here as Valiant's moving in on another offensive attack, though losing control of it once again. They're at mid, though they keep it alive as Nugs will do a beautiful ceiling carve there to stay in control, turn that one around, plunge with a big pickup, though. JDG pressing hard there on defense, though they're able to get a send in there to the left side corner. Fire.
Yeah, cleared down again, and we're kind of just ping-ponging back and forth between goalies. A slip on the back line scoops it up with some good bit of momentum, flies down the edge and sets something up for a bit of attack. The ball floating into the midfield, but there's Mozzie. Again, keeping the ball control for their squad here as IVNA continues to apply pressure back into the zone of Valiance on the hunt as Plunge gets up into the face of JDG, and we battle for the control into the corner, slap to the midfield, the cross dangerously close as Slip swats it away, and we continue again in this zone. Finally the clear.
Yeah, good clear there. The big pickup, big opportunity. Mozzie 1v2 gets it through, and we'll get, what is that, a 5-point lead here to Ivy.
Driftball frenzy restart.
Crazy work from IVI so far. You know, Valiant's really trying to hang in there, trying to get their defense and offense together at the same time. But IVI is just not giving them any wiggle room. There is no room for mistakes with them at all.
Any little miss fumble, any miss pass, it does get scooped up and optimized. Mozzie here, a dangerous threat. Their pace, pretty hard to match as Piggles swats it back to the midfield, but defense coming in, and it's just the first round, so maybe they're warming up here in this series. The pass to the midfield there. Janois picks it up, and they're going to push in, slip on the back line, trying to vie for control, and again, brawling, this time in the zone of IVNA. Maybe the first time we've really been here for this long. The push coming in from Plunge, the 1v3, the shot to the top line, threads the needle.
Yeah, great shot there. Finally getting one on the board for Valiant. And what a play that was. I saw their passing improve. Their speed genuinely shot up through the roof there as they were making that push. So it is awesome to see that from that team. I am looking forward to more goals from them.
Ooh, big clear there by Valiant. So it'll be Nadash on defense getting there first instead. JDG bounces it awkwardly off of the catwalk there. Slip does get the pickup there on the far side. Handle it, though. Has some room. It will instead pass it off to a teammate. And Valiant will look for... Oh, no. JDG. Big steal. Gets it to Mozzie Nightfire.
Yeah, and Mozzie, again, continuing to keep it into their team's control. Not for long, though. Plunge pushes forward, gets aggressive. Beautiful cross, and Nugs can't find the slap. Unfortunately, just a little wide. And now, again, battling for control. Time ticking down. The 4-point lead. Not something you can come back from unless you have enough time. And although our timer right now isn't ticking, this round is ticking down. Nadash looking to put another point on the board. What a cross to Mozzie, who flies out of nowhere and battling into the corner, but no goal.
Yeah, persistence there from Ivy, though they're not able to follow through completely. JDG sends it just wide, and we will get to the end of that round. It will go to Ivy. What was that, 5-1? Nightfire.
Yeah, solid round one lock in here, Aiden, and setting the pace, to say the least. You know, I think I felt like we started to see Valiance warming up there, but a 5-1 opener from Ivy is impressive.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm pretty sure you guys noticed, but once IVI scored that goal, the scoring from Valiant just completely stopped. It was at a standstill. A lot of fights in the middle. Not really anyone gaining much ground. So I think this next round is going to be really interesting because Valiant seems to have finally got their footing.
Love to see the dribble work there in that replay. Plunge, you know, bouncing it in between their arms, trying to keep their opponent off guard and finding that high bar shot. The replay is really so fun to watch in this game, and I'm so happy that we're finally doing Orion Drift competitive work here for NA as IVNA carries the lead in this best of 3 series, not best of 5, and into the round we go.
Yeah, quick kickoff there, though. Will be Nugs with the pickup for Valiant. Disrupted there by the defense. The little scrum for it there in the sewers. JDG trying to make something happen. Does come away with it momentarily. Sends it up. Nadash, big pickup. Nadash with a lot of room. Has Mozzie left. Sends it down. Mozzie looking for the cut-in. Not able to make it happen as the defense turns it around.
Nice little swat away on the goal. And Aiden, again, the defense, something that stands out as a vital tool that we've seen come alive maybe for this Valiant squad in the late stages of this series. And now at the start of round 2, they're doing a good job of holding off any early points.
They are, and they're able to keep it on the other side of the field right now, doing great. against that team.
And Nadash showing this one around for Ivy. Controlling here, slowly moving in on that back line. Draws the defense in, gets by. Has two moving in. Piggles. Big stop there by Janu in the goal.
Still, though, in control is Mozzie again with great pass work, keeps the team on the front line. They continue to apply pressure, but the Valiant's defense is alive, and they're fending off what is really good coordinated pushes from IVNA. We got two teams brawling for their undefeated status in this Pioneer Cup, the first ever VRML tournament, and so far, quite a brawl indeed, Dimwit.
Yeah, Nugs will send that one across. Look for plunge, a little bit high. They also had Janu cutting in a little bit higher than the ball, but did not connect on it, as this one will be a scrum on the far side. Mozzie 2v1 will get it not away. Plunge will send it back to Slip instead. Good possession here by Valiant, although JDG will take an opportunity there to turn this one around for Ivy. JDG now slowing it down on the far side. Geo, and will send a deep reset pass there to Piggles, who sends it back in deep to Mozzie. That one is loose, though.
Yeah, Plunge swats it away, up to their middle goal, who does clear it out nicely. Jan tossing it all the way down to Slip, and this is a good quick pass. Nugs with a great scoop on that cross down to Plunge, but intercepted by Nadash, and what was a good sequence there doesn't quite go the way of either team, as Plunge comes from the back line and intercepts it themselves. Scoop after scoop, and trade after trade. These two teams just keep kind of picking it from each other in the midfield.
You know, Aiden, I think you were right, because we still haven't seen a goal from Ivy since Valiant's got there last. I know we're still scoreless for both teams right now. But notable here is we're about halfway through this round.
Yeah, lots of back and forth action right now for both teams. Can't really decide who wants to score yet, but I'm sure that will change eventually. Hopefully.
Well, we'll go into overtime at this rate if neither team scores, but it's been quite a few minutes ticking down here in round number 2 of this best-of-3 series, with IVNA with a very strong 5-1 lead, and now, almost Valiant's coming out with their first goal and first lead in this series, but not quite. Denied away as Slip keeps things in control for Valiants until that pass goes wide.
Yeah, there was a reset that nobody was home for. The Nugs will get it recovered there. Not quite, though. Mozzie, big disruption. Plunge touches it. Mozzie gets it back. Mozzie there, reset of their own. Although that won't make its way into sewers. They'll have to recollect their JDG. Does track it down, though, under pressure, turning it right back around. Pickles moving on in. Gets a 1v1 against the goalie, though. Loses the hold on the ball there, and it will turn around into that near side corner as Nog gets a touch, but it will be Valiant turning it around, potentially.
Brawling for control in the corner here. Silo manages to clear it out. Nugs scooping it up, trying to dodge what is a very aggressive frontline defense. Mozzie's really been a thorn in the side of the setup of this Valiant's offense here, as they do finally push in. Plunge with a nice clear to the center. Slip takes the shot, but it's scooped up and defended by JDG. They are here.
Yeah, what a defensive stop there by Ivy to keep that one out of the goal. Big offensive pressure currently from Valiant, so another send away by Ivy, though not control, just a clear out, and that's going to be a backline play there by Janu, though. Oh no, opportunity here for Ivy. No, excuse me, it's going to be right back in the hands of Valiant. Nugs gets a touch on it. Nugs gets that one away from the pink team. Plunge will get a touch on it to get it back to that back line, though. Big pressure here from Ivy at the moment to get that one closer and closer to that blue goal. Are they going to be able to connect on it? Instead, no. Janu will get that one sent out once again.
We're almost 5 minutes scoreless. We're going to hit overtime scoreless unless Piggles has something to say about it. Pushing forward, top line, bounces off the rebound and finds it in the last moment. It's IVNA with a point on the board.
We're back on it. Oh, here we go.
I have no words.
I mean, it's a beautiful goal there. Sends it off the backboard and then just follows through. That's the importance of staying on. Even if your first shot misses, just stay with it. Get the second shot on, because those are the ones that you're going to get in on. A little self-pass, but the JDG now on the far side wants to get a 2-point lead here to Ivy, but instead it will be Valiant's turning it around, as we may be in overtime right now, as this one's in the air, and there you go. Ivy will take this one 2-0 and the series 2-0 over Valiants.
Impressive stuff, Aiden. I mean, again, I felt like we were going to see maybe this one go into a third round, you know, but I'm curious on your thoughts, Aiden, on that round, and then Dimwee will follow you up with another question. But Aiden, I mean, again, we're into this thing here in round 4, definitely giving us an interesting back and forth this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, that was just amazing. That second round, completely different from the first. at the end, we kind of saw Valiance push forward a little bit in that first round, but I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I didn't expect a standstill till the very last 20 seconds. That's just absolutely insane.
Yeah, it is. We're into it right now, and Dimly, I'm curious what you think with the best of 3 series and element here this afternoon. I feel like momentum really plays a big factor in Orion Drift. We talked about it with me and Aiden, but I want to get your thoughts too. Because we're seeing a lot of 2-0s this afternoon, and I feel like it's because these teams are riding with that first round win into the second.
That way, I mean, it's round refresh.
Yep.
I think I'm
Dimly,
also
your mic's
having...
doing that fancy thing.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was just me, but Aiden helped me out. It's okay, just some tech issues. Like, hey, everything's a work in progress. Like we said, the 4v4 build, work in progress. Our tech issues, a work in progress. But
Dimly's microphone, work in progress. It's okay.
we will.
Am I back?
There we go. Yes, you're back indeed.
you're
Yeah, it's I made the mistake of browsing on Chrome. For some reason, whenever I'm I don't know, casting Chrome, Chrome doesn't like it when I cast. So I was looking at the bracket. I pulled the bracket up. That was my mistake.
Yeah,
that was my mistake. I
Good
know. Yeah,
information.
it's my bad for trying to pull out some reference material to do my job. But whatever.
Deep breath.
Yeah, we are going to take a quick break, I think, on our end as we do get ready for our next round. Speaking of doing our job, a big shout out to all the mods at home working on this tournament. It's taken a lot of work to get what is 50-plus teams participating in this North American Pioneer Cup. We appreciate the effort of the mod team. If you are tuning in, big shout out to you and everyone that's stopping by. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the sub button. Don't go anywhere. More Pioneer Cup action coming up, maybe even round 5 kicking off. So we're getting into it, the later rounds, in just a few moments. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out for what is a long day of Orion Drift. My name is Nightfire. I'm here with Sir Dimwee. And Dimwee, I just want to get your feelings and thoughts. What has it been like watching the Pioneer Cup? You know, we've had OCE and EU already finish their long tournament over that initial weekend, and now we're finally into the meat and potatoes of North America. I mean, what's your impression been of the meta? What have you been excited to see?
Really, the passing plays and seeing kind of a glimpse of the future of this game, this sport, the VR here as what kind of you take that locomotion that Lemming identified as being so vital to the experience of Echo, made Gorilla Tag out of it, and then have Orion Drift, and now using that style of locomotion to play what is effectively soccer, but with our hands. And you start out when you first start playing it, there's kind of a feeling of like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. But then you start seeing these players play it.
Right.
Go, oh, okay, no, this is actually really cool. There's some really cool stuff they can do, some really cool stuff they can pull off. The way that last game we were watching, Ivy, the way they cycled on the backline, the number of times someone would drop the ball somewhere and someone else was right there to pick it right back up. Was really impressive to see, and I just can't wait to see how the meta continues to develop, especially since we're only a few weeks into folks getting an opportunity to play on these 4v4 servers, in these 4v4 arenas, the bigger arenas. So I'm really, it's been, I've been trying to view it as, and have felt like I've been viewing it as a snapshot, kind of a window into the future of all of this,
I think what was interesting and stood out to me in the old days of past games, and really any game that VRML touches, is that in the early seasons, it's kind of a, everyone is pretty much like commit, like, yeah, these teams are the best. That they've worked the hardest, they're just the best. But then as the seasons progress, you see the general ceiling of competitive gameplay increase and get better and better and better. And I just feel like between the weekend that we had 2 weeks ago, where we did get a few rounds in the North America done, to the weekend we have now, 2 weeks later, I feel like these teams have even in that time alone improved and gotten better at the game, and I feel, and if that's how quick we're going to see these teams develop their skill, I'm very optimistic in how this is going to pan out, because in a lot of ways, when you get into those later stage tournaments, by the time we get to the Pioneer Cup, to the I'm blanking, the qualifying cup for VRML Con, we'll pull it up here, the Phoenix Invitational, there it is. By the time we get there, I can't wait to see how good these teams are going to be ironed out on their skill level.
I was thinking the same thing. Something else I'm really curious to see is how folks play Orion Drift in person. I know one of the things I've noticed, watching on TikTok, like the explainers on how to carve and things, is like where people pivot. Do you pivot center mass? Do you pivot on a foot? I pivot on a foot. I thought everybody pivoted on a foot, and then I saw some TikToks where folks are pivoting center mass, and I was like, oh, you can do that too. There's different ways of engaging with the mechanics, because there is an incredible amount of physicality in Driftball. So I'm really curious to see how everybody has developed their own way of engaging with those physical mechanics, and we'll get that opportunity in Phoenix in July.
Yeah, it's an awesome chance presented only because of the contributions from another Axiom coming in and supporting us for these tournaments and for the Phoenix Invitational. So a big shout out to the developers of Orion Drift, obviously very committed to the esports space, and we can't appreciate their support enough. We are ready to get into round 5. Scores have been submitted. Me and Dimwee have been yapping long enough. We're going to go to a brief break. When we come back, round 5 kicks off. Big games coming up ahead of us, Dimwee. We've got Vicious versus Crane Gang and IVNA versus Shock OD. Two teams that have been playing very good so far. Four teams, that are undefeated. So 2 games that we can check out here as we do get ready for our 5th round. So don't go anywhere, or go to the other live streams and catch all of the Orion Drift action this afternoon, because there's a lot more coming up. Welcome back, everybody. We are here and ready to dive into our next round as teams get into lobby and warm up. It's Vicious versus Crane Gang. What else we want to tune into as we do wait for the players to populate this lobby. It's one of 2 games where we have teams playing in this server that are undefeated, Dimwee, and that's an achievement, I feel like, with how good we've seen these teams playing today.
Yeah, it really is. And once again, a bunch of names I recognize. Fizzin, Swag War, Crash and Tux, Goblin. I know Fizzin and Crash and Tux, they run GTC over in Gorilla Tag Competitive League. Swag War, of course, from our old community there over, of course, on the other team on Crane Gang, Condog, Sweet Tooth, Matthew, Kotetsa, all names that I've casted several times over the years, and a couple that I've met in person. So really excited for this matchup, Nightfire.
Yeah, we've got everyone readied up. We're at the edge of the arena. We've been placed into the center starting point. Dimwee says the ball is ready for action. Actually, it's Dimwad. It's hard when you actually have multiple of the same person in this thing. But here we go. Round 1 of this best of 3 between 2 undefeated teams kicking off here out the gate. And I go to the wrong arena again. We apologize for those tech swings, but it's okay. We're just vying for midfield control, and nobody quite has it yet as we jump over to Sweet Tooth pushing into the front line, trying to get up into the face of Swag War, who fends it off on the Crane Gang.
Yeah, Sweet Tooth was looking for an opportunity, but didn't have one. Was alone against defense. So Goblin now for Crane Gang will move in on the offensive. Defense does get in the way of it. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I missed it. They get it in. Crane Gang gets the first goal.
They thread the needle, if you will, there, and the intercept in particular. Coming in here also from Swag War, as Mateo does hold control, but Katetsu just manages to pick that pass up. It was going to be a big intercept, but instead they scoop it up, hand it off to their teammate, try and get up into the front line to continue their push going on here, but we just kind of vie for midfield control off of clears as Fizzin pushes back in time to stop that open goal shot from going in.
Fizzin turns that one around, sends it up. The Sweet Tooth will be there on the defense to get it in the way of it. Colin Dog now trying to wrest the control of it. We'll send it away, but that's just a clear there into the hands of Swag War for Crane Gang. A Swag War will now turn this one around on that far side wall, looking for a near side pass. Hits Goblin. Goblin touches it forward. Will be a bit of a tussle for it there at mid, though. Matthew coming away with possession. Fizzin, good tackle. Fizzin slaps it back for reset there to Tux. Tux turns it back around, and there's Tux moving on in on the offense. Gets opportunity, sends it big. Stop there by Kotetsa.
Huge slam away. You love to see the goalie position coming in as a huge element in this game of Orion Drift. As Condog flies forward, jukes through 2 in through the midfield, can't quite carry the ball through the aggressive front line of Crane Gang, though, and this 1-0 lead is all that Crane Gang lead right now. Swag War in control, maybe looking to pile on a little more. They're flying through as they pass to the center. Goblin misses the cross, and that could have been the 1-2 punch for another goal, but instead, it's Kotetsu in control and clearing it out.
Yeah, cleared out there. Sweet Tooth, big send up. Goes wide and high. Goblin there to get to send it away from the goal. Swag War to collect. And Swag War, big clear there, hits that the corner wall is Kotetsa, though. Will get control of it here for Vicious instead. And Matthew, big send up there. Look for Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth not quite able to connect on it. Does get to it there on the near side corner. Sweet Tooth back across. Look for Kotetsa. Kotetsa, though, has to go play it. And picks it up there, though, under pressure by Tux. Tux, though, gets a hand on it. Tux, big send! Tux, a big goal!
Wow, the brawl for the intercept, and Crane Gang up 2-0 with 2:15 left. It's not a comfortable lead yet, Dimwee. Thank you for telling me play recommences. I know, but here we go into the action as Sweet Tooth pushes forward and looks for the setup. This is a nice one. The shot there quickly intercepted by Crash and Tux.
Tux trying to run away with it. Matthew gets it back. Swag War, though, with a touch. Matthew again with it over to Kotetsa. Kotetsa gets under 1, gets by 2, not quite. Loses a handle on it and will be turned around once again by Crane Gang. As Sweet Tooth once again on the back line sends it on that near side wall. Kotetsa with the big pickup. Kotetsa sends it in. Tux gets it instead and turns it around once more for Crane Gang. And then gives it, no, sorry, that's a teammate there. Fizzin, beautiful play there by Fizzin to get it into the sewers. Although, big tussle for it in the sewers. No one able to get a clean break on it right now. Lots of defensive plays, although there's a big opportunity. Goblin gets it! Wow, just like that.
Nice slam dunk from Krangang, if there ever was one. That shot off the bottom, into the goal is something that I've really seen work well from the high ground, but it is not easy to make. Those shots coming in from the top of the goal down are, I think, one of the harder things to do in this game. And we've seen some real creative ways of hitting those top-down shots. Even behind-the-back slaps have come in the Pioneer Cup so far today. As that bounces off the top, the dribble there goes a little bit wrong. Kondog scoops it up and keeps fending off the push from Krangang, trying to get a point of their own on the board here in the first round, but it is just the first round, Dimwee. So if they can't scoop up a win here, they've got a little bit of a chance left in round 2.
Yeah, really. I mean, at this point, even if you can't get the victory, just get a goal to get that momentum to swing in your favor as you go into the next round. Sweet Tooth down the floor, gets a big setup, and the shot goes just wide as defense is able to get that one cleared out on that far side. Big shot on goal. Is it going to be on? No, it's just going to be to the left. Sweet Tooth will get that one picked up. A little stack there with Matthew, though. Good defensive stop there by Tux. Tux keeps it in the offensive zone, though. Kotetsa, big turnaround now, trying to get that one out.
It's all about momentum. The double stack gives you a lot of momentum. Sweet Tooth and Matthew have been trying to keep that momentum going on that double stack, and it's allowed them to be really fast on the push back up to the front lines. It's why we are now seeing Vicious get into a little bit of a rhythm on their push, finally getting some pressure onto the front line, into the zone of this Krangang squad. There's the bounce shot to Sweet Tooth, and oh no, right when they're getting close to scoring a goal, Dimwee, the round ends, and the first in this best of 3 does go the way of Krangang. A solid lock-in from them.
Yeah, Krangang just able to do it, offense and defense. There were plenty of opportunities there to Vicious to get some goal, get some numbers on the board, but were never able to quite connect on it. They had a few shot opportunities, few setups. They would get that first shot, that first pass, the first self pass off the back wall, and just weren't able to either connect on them, or the secondary shots would go just wide, or occasionally you would just see a ridiculous save by, it was typically Tux, I think, on defense there for Krangang, getting their stops in the goal. So phenomenal defensive showing there by Krangang, and then able to capitalize on offense.
Yep. We're getting ready for round 2. I have a feeling we're in for some phenomenal plays today. That's my line. I just made that one up right now. As we do get ready to dive into round number 2.
Ooh, and that one's going to be immediately into the hands of Krangang, as they're moving into the offensive zone and wasting no time. Tux with a no look there. So
okay.
Gets a look on the goal, and you saw Tux kind of like heaving that one under the shoulder behind the back on that shot, though. Sweet Tooth opportunity here for Vicious.
Yeah, looking to set up, doing a little dribble work, a little juking, the pass down to nobody. Kondog not over where they thought they were, and a little bit of a miscommunication maybe as the duo stacks up. Crash, Tux, and Fizz slap the ball down into the midfield, and Goblin is the one that scoops it up. Cross over to Swag War. Can they take it from the top down into the goal? No, they can't. They're getting pressured. No, they can. The slap down there, but not enough. Mateo bats it away back into the corner.
Matthew touches it, and excuse me, Fizzin, Goblin, somebody sends it up. Kondog gets in the way of that shot. Although Tux once more again on that back line. Tux moving on in. Says it. That's a pass to Fizzin. Fizzin, though, not able to connect on it, as Kondog will get it slapped out to that far side chain here. Sweet Tooth and Kotetsa. Sweet Tooth trying to get away with it, though loses control there on the far side. Kondog slaps it down to the teammate Matthew. Matthew now with some, that pass there to the far side. Just a lot of cycling right now from Vicious, as they're just trying to get the defense on Krangang out of position, and they're just not quite able to do it.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see these squads trying to reset and get their boost in order for a push, but you don't really have a lot of time for that when you're getting pressured as hard as you are. As a great save comes in there to keep things alive for Vicious. That could have been Krangang taking the lead again in round 2.
Could have been. This Goblin for Krangang turning it right around to this 0-0 matchup. Sweet Tooth gets a stop. Sweet Tooth, good carve there to turn this one around. Keep that speed up. Gets through. Oh, it stopped. What a tackle there. It's cut the momentum that Sweet Tooth carried all the way into the offensive zone. As Krangang trying to get that one out, and they're able to. And it back to mid as Sweet Tooth touches it once more, though, sending it off to Goblin.
Yeah, again, just brawling for control, and it feels like this Vicious squad have woken up a little bit here. Their stack's a little bit more on point. Their speed, their push is a little bit more aggressive, but they're still being intercepted in the midfield pretty consistently from what is a very forefront and aggressive Crane Gang defense, a bit brawl heavy, looking for the big tackles and not afraid to send 2 or 3 up to the front line and make their back line a little bit more exposed. It is a risk they are taking, but so far, Vicious haven't really been able to expose it.
And Crane Gang sending that one back into the offensive zone, though Vicious once again on defense there to stop it. This one up to the ceiling. Condog now, so excuse me, someone turning it around with it. This one ending up at mid. I've completely lost it. No, here's near side corner, as no one really getting a clean takeaway on it. As Condog will turn it around once again for Vicious, sending it away. Swag War with a touch on it for Crane Gang down into sewers. No, up back to that far side corner. There's Goblin to collect on it. Goblin tackled immediately by Katetsa as Condog picks it up for Vicious. And once again, an opportunity, possibly, though, another scrum of mid. No, there, send it up.
Long pass to Sweet Tooth in the corner. They slap it back behind them for the cross to the center, but nobody's home. Crash and tucks. The enemy, their opponent, scoops it up, clears it to the midfield. Goblin tries to get it. Open goal, shot missed in the corner. A rare opportunity presents itself, but sometimes those rare opportunities, the open goals, are the hardest ones to hit as Condog tries to set themselves up for the slap in. The goal was open there for them for a moment, but nobody quite yet getting control of this as Sweet Tooth gets a nice clear back and a quick stack from Kotetsu. You'll love to see the coordination there, Dimwee.
You really do. Katetsa trying to get away with it. The Swag War touches it.
Nice
Katetsa
work
gets
off the
it back.
wall.
Down to the floor. Katetsa once again, although loses control, there is Condog to pick it up. Condog moving in. Condog against Tux. Oh, it's going to be Fizzin getting a big play there on Condog. So Sweet Tooth coming back away with it. Vicious looking for an opportunity. Vicious. Condog, excuse me, Sweet Tooth sent the shot. Swag War, though, breaks it up, sends it far side as Tux turns that one around here for Crane Gang.
Midfield battling. Nobody's scored yet, Dimwee. We're 36 seconds left in round number 2 as Kotetsu. And the push in, the battle in the front. Nobody scored there. How does it happen?
I don't know. Too many hands, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Uh-oh.
Oh, and a breakaway.
Oh, no.
Tux is looking to put it away. With that one, gets a 1-point lead with only 15 seconds.
A incredible Series W from Crane Gang coming off of a big dive in. And, oh, wait, are we not done yet here? My timer?
We are not done yet.
Okay. We'll go
They're still
back
playing
into
as
it.
Condog has it there on the far side. Fizzin, big tackle. I think there's only a few seconds left as big send away there by Crane Gang. Swag War, one final shot maybe. There you go. That will end it.
Yeah.
2-0. Crane Gang will take the series 2-0.
To all our fans from the
Okay,
bustling city.
now they take the series 2-0. A little extra action there on the end, but a great series of back and forth. We're going to see if we can jump into another one. I think this series also finished in 2-0. Dimwee, these big maps, we just had 2 games finish between 4 teams that are undefeated, and they were done in 2 rounds. You know, it seems to be a trend here in the top tier where it's just hard to carry your momentum. It's hard to battle back. You know, it's hard to get that second round to take you to a best of 3.
It does seem to be the case, and it does make me kind of excited for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Where you're going to see the best of the teams going into kind of, you know, with that
Best of 5, yeah. I think
best of 5.
Yeah.
And then playing for a final. So I think that's going to be really exciting. I think you're going to see some real good matchups there. And I think you're going to see fewer sweeps in those matchups.
Yeah, I look forward to getting into again, tomorrow's games, but we do have more today. A few matchups left for us this afternoon, round 6 and 7. I think that may be it for Dimwee here, though, on the desk. Yeah, so Dimwee, I'll let you say your goodbyes. Thanks for jumping in. I do appreciate having you on. It's been, I think, years, literally, since we've cast together, so fun to be back in the saddle with you.
Yeah, no, it is fantastic. Nightfire, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be in the booth. Does it for every single game in VR. So big shout out to Nightfire with 2 E's. Never forget it. But of course, yeah, no, it's been great. It's always fun. I love casting. I love casting Orion Drift. And I love being a part of this wonderful community. Thank you, everybody, for having me on. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Heck yeah, thank you so much. We're going to go to a brief break. When we come back, more Orion Drift action. Don't go anywhere. welcome back, everybody. My name is Nightfire, and I am here with a fresh desk. Kibbular Bob, Retro, Cat Ride All. We've been casting a lot of games today. You were over on Channel 3, and I want to get your perspective here now over on the main channel. Bob, I'll start with you. How have today's matches been? Because we've had some great series play out here on the main channel.
They've been a ton of fun. I've got to admit, it's been a wonderful time watching these teams play. We've had a number of really close ones, especially on Channel 3. But, I mean, the action in this game is just incredible. You know, it doesn't matter. Even if the game is not as close, just watching these players shoot the ball, pass it to their teammates is just so much fun.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying the action here this afternoon. Retro, anything that stood out to you? The defense, the offense, what are you really enjoying watching this afternoon?
Remarkable. Absolute cinema that I watched today. It was just speed with these teams I've been seeing today. Today with casting and everything and these games have just been really just great defensive plays from these teams and great offensive plays. Cannot wait to see these teams crash it out.
We're getting into the last round of the Pioneer Cup coming up here. The final score is getting reported in here for round 5. Then round 6 will wrap up the North American Phase 1 of the Pioneer Cup. We obviously have more of the NA Pioneer Cup tomorrow. Same time, 3 p.m. PST, and that will be I think probably even more fast-paced in terms of consecutive rounds getting played, and I think it's a single elimination bracket, so it's going to be a lot of fun to tune into across the weekend. Obviously, again, one more round left here today, but we're not quite ready for it. So we're going to go to a brief little intermission, and we come back. Round 6, the last round of the Swiss bracket, will kick off, and we'll wrap up what has been a 3+ hour day of Orion Drift. We appreciate everybody tuning in. If you are just stopping by, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. Be sure to come back to the VRML network for a lot more content, because not only do we do Orion Drift, we have 4 other leagues live right now, all with content getting produced on this channel. So you're going to see a lot of VR esports if that's what you want. So I do recommend subscribing. We do appreciate your support, and we'll be right back with more Orion Drift Pioneer Cup action. Welcome back, everybody, to the VRML Pioneer Cup. So far, it's been 5 rounds and 3 hours of high-octane Orion Drift action, but we've got replays for days today here. Hundreds of clips that have come in across all of the games that we've tuned into. Amazing defensive plays, amazing holds, and teams that we've seen before are now going to be live on center stage for the last match of the afternoon. It's IVNA versus Crane Gang, two teams that we've gotten to watch on both mainstream and on Stream C. I'm curious, I'll start with you, Bob. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Where do you see this going? I mean, frankly, maybe we get a third round in this best of three, but I'm still not quite sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what makes this one even more unique, Nightfire, is the fact that IV and Crane Gang are the only two undefeated teams left in this tournament. Vicious just lost to Crane Gang, and I mean, it really could go either way. They're both extremely solid 5-0 teams. And I know we were talking about this earlier, but this could potentially be what our finals are looking like tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, Retro, how have you felt about IV playing today? I mean, I know, again, they showed up on Stream 3, and they've been really dominant so far this afternoon.
Gotta say, this matchup is the most two best teams in North America. As I've seen these teams play before, these are incredible. As I've seen from IBI, they just had that great communication, that great passing play. Like, they knew where to go. Like, if they were like from bridge, and they just had that skill, they had that speed, they had that skill, and from the matches we saw, they just never gave the other team a break. It was just pure brute force. And from what I really seen from Crane Gang does not mess around. They have those ceiling cards. They have just everything. Yeah. They have the passing. They just have it all. Both.
We're just waiting for Crane Gang to hop into lobby. As they do now populate in, we will get ready for round number one in this best of three. It's an exciting series to tune into. We appreciate all of you hanging out, tuning in, and catching the action today. It's been a long day of Orion Drift. We're happy to produce to you quality content in the competitive space of Orion Drift, and I anticipate this to be another quality back and forth here as the lobby. We have everyone in lobby. We look at the rosters. We have Nadash, Mozzie, JDZG is here, and Piggles over on IV, and over on Craig Gang we have Baz, Fizz, and Swag War, and Goblin. Mozzie also. Mozzie on IVNA. Who else is on in the roster right now for Crane Gang? I feel like I'm missing one. But I think that is the 4. Crash and Tux, in there as well. So Baz, Fizz, and Crash and Tux and Goblin. No. Maybe they're subbing people in, because I thought I saw Swag War here. I know Swag War is in. I thought I saw... Maybe I'm seeing things. Fizzin isn't in right now, so either way, to have that deep roster, Bob, is something nice. And when you're getting into a tournament where you're, 3 hours into playing a super sweaty game,
that's an advantage that Crane Gang has. I think that's what they're doing, is they may be live subbing people in and out during the game, depending on how their performance is. That could be a realistic thing that we would see here. But yeah, I mean, that's why having 6 players is a great thing, because as Nightfire pointed out, this is a long tournament. These teams are playing for several hours today, and that's demanding on the headset. So having the ability to swap people in and out allows you to charge your headset, get a drink, rest up for the next match that you're doing. So we're looking at two probably well-rested teams that have been really fighting through gladiator style this entire Pioneer Cup today, and it should be a phenomenal finale here on the mainstream.
Yeah, we're happy again that you're all tuning in. Hit the thumbs up button if you can. Hit the subscribe button. We would appreciate all of the support that you can give us. And a reminder that this is really kind of just the beginning of things here on the VRML side. We do have a lot left planned out in front of us with the Ignition Cup coming up May 31st to June 1st. We'll be doing this all over again, Bob, for a whole nother group of players, and I imagine a whole lot more players will be coming out for that Ignition Cup. Again, $1,000 in cash prize pool on the line, and something to look forward to and get involved in now. You can enter in pretty much as soon as we're done with the Pioneer Cup here and the Phoenix Invitational, which we'll talk more about as we get ready to get into round 1 of this best of 3. We're finally beginning as the ball kicks off here in IVNA versus Crane Gang, the 2 undefeated teams.
Swag War with possession immediately off the starts. Up on the halo, looks for the shot on goal, but it's intercepted immediately by Mozzie. You love to see good defense to start off a game. Crane Gang will be your team in blue, IVNA in the red. And Baz looking for the ball, but it ends up going towards the IV goal.
Swagwar finally gets it and sets it up for a push down in towards the front line here of Crane Gang on the defense as they fend off the push in. JDG is here to defend. Crash and Tux takes the shot to the high ground, and that misses as IV tucked back in to the back line. Goblin and the rest of the team, Baz here waiting for this push to come through. And again, just kind of brawling in the midfield, Bob, for ball control here. Not one team has found it. Goblin, ooh, almost the breakaway.
That's why you keep somebody close to your goal, to prevent long shots like that from sinking and giving your opponent an early score. Pickles bringing it around the backfield by the Crane Gang goal. Looks to apply some pressure on the IV side. Crash and Tux up with a shot on the nest, and Swag War backs it in. And Crane Gang will get their first score of this game.
Yeah, sorry, we had the teams on the wrong side there. IV, NA is in blue, and Crane Gang in red. So like you said, Bob, you're right. Crane Gang taking their first point here as we brawl for mid-control. Piggles can't quite get it. It's slapped away over to the IVNA zone as Nadash does bat it back up to the midfield. A quick intercept from Swagwar keeps things moving forward here for the likes of Crane Gang. They're trying to push in, and Piggles backs it off with a nice little bit of defensive work on the back line. And into the sewers we go, Bob.
Nadash looks for a shot on goal, but it's denied, and Piggles has to carry it through the backfield once more. Sent across up to the halo, where it's intercepted by Goblin. Crane Gang looking to bring it back across the field towards the IV goal. Baz with a pass over to Swagwar. Can they get a second point? No, it does not happen. Denied by IV, and Goblin looks to correct the trajectory, bringing it back up top. Baz with a shot. Does not sink in either.
Another good bit of defensive work here, holding their ground, fending off the push. That small goal, hard to slap into as Piggles bats away the ball from Goblin, gets a push, a breakaway that's intercepted by Swagwar, who comes flying in from the back line. Crash and Tux and the other, I think Baz, waiting on the defense for this push to come through. So they're playing it very cautiously. They know in this undefeated situation that they're competing for first seed when it comes in time for the tournament tomorrow. So definitely something to be fighting for here in this undefeated brawl.
Wagward taking it up to the sky, where Nadash looks for the intercept, but they manage to kick it back across the field to Mozzie for IV. This is their shot. It's passed up to JDG, and now back into the hands of Mozzie. Passed over to Piggles. We're seeing a lot of pass action going on, but Crane Gang are doing an excellent job of denying the shot on goal. Swagwar with the interception. It's now going back across the field. Battle in the bunker. Crash and Tux looks to bring it through the center. It's in. Oh, it's not in. Amazing defense from IV. They are not out of this yet.
Somehow it gets slapped away, and IVNA keep it to a 1-point lead. Time, Bob, ticks down as we have 1:20 left on the clock.
Now Crash and Tux looks for another shot on the IV goal. Nadash, however, brings it back across up to the halo with a shot over to Mozzie, back across. Oh, but they're out of position, and that's going to go right into the hands of Crane Gang.
They're trying to toss it back to Piggles, who would take the slap in, but couldn't quite get it. A wonderful play organized there by Nadash on the breakaway that just doesn't end up with IVNA taking a point. And in a 1-point lead with 45 seconds left, it might just be all they need. Mozzie does get the ball. An open shot as they 360 spin to take it and can't quite hit it when they come around. Sometimes, Bob, those open goals are the hardest to hit.
Absolutely. JDG brings it up towards the center, tosses it over to Piggles, who's in a control battle with Baz, and it's a shot on goal, but it misses. Swagwar looks to have another go. Crash and Tux tries, and it does go in. Crane Gang with another point.
That's the nail in the coffin for the round, as time impossible for them to get the points they need to take the round win. And so we'll see how long they keep it up off of that bottom floor. On the push here, the cross to JDG doesn't quite connect. Nadash keeps it alive, keeps it floating. Crash and Tux bounces it up as well, and maybe a little extra swag war points coming in here as Swag pushes forward. Eventually it hits the ground, and Crane Gang kick off with a round win. Retro, really not a lot of time for us to pop in with you because it was just so much quick back and forth, but what are your thoughts on our first round here?
Gang, the Crane Gang coming in with that W. Gotta say, Crane Gang with that W offensive play. But let's take a note. IVI, just incredible defensive play. As you guys were just seeing those goals and those they were just really defending, and that was just really incredible. Just was really a brawl from both teams, like a big brawl.
Yes, indeed. As we do get into round 2, Crane Gang with just 1 point, Bob, take that first round. And I mean, sometimes that's all it takes, right? Just a single point on the board to get you a round in a undefeated series. Is that going to be the case for IVNA as we do get into round number 2 here? About to kick off with some players watching in from above, excited to see how this undefeated series unfolds.
And we're
off. Your IV, you're going to want to drag it to all 3 rounds. Don't want to let Crane Gang take this one easily. Piggles looking to deny Crash and Tux's early point attempt. Swagwort reacquires possession of the ball. Good ceiling carve. Love to see that, by the way. That's one of the coolest parts of Orion Drift. Crash and Tux looks for another shot on goal, but again, IV with the defensive play denies it once more. Mozzie tries to swat it away, but Baz is going to be the one to scuffle and not get control of the ball.
No, Swagwar does scoop it up in the midfield, but can't quite make anything of it. JDG is here to bounce it off, but so is Goblin. Goblin is here as they swat it back to Swagwar. Swagwar brawling for control in the sewers, can't quite scoop it up, and Piggles gets up to the top. Is there an open goal? No, there's not. There's some goalies at home, as you'd expect from what is otherwise been a pretty, I would say, like, conservative defense. They've really been holding on to the back line to make sure that there isn't any big pushes coming through, but IVNA, Bob, finally thread the needle. Retro, they're on the board for the first time in this series.
In play.
That is just really crazy. As they are playing here, it looks like they are taking the ball going straight under here as Mozzie takes it. They're rushing straight on top of here, but just getting snacked by there because they're just too incredible, both teams. Swagwar, they're just playing at that bridge, gonna throw that straight up into the air. Oh, could this be a long shot in? Oh no, going straight back to Mozzie.
Ozzy gonna scoop it up off the top. Nice juke there. Spots it over to Piggles, who takes the shot on goal, and Baz saves it. What a beautiful hold, Bob.
Mozzie, almost had the ball once more, but they're triple teamed by Crane Gang. Piggles and Mozzie looking to play a little bit defensive with the ball, get possession back over into the hands of IV. They're bringing it around to the bridge. Pass over to JDG in position. Nadash corrects, tries to rebound the ball, but Goblin is going to kick it back out into center court. Good tackle from Mozzie, who's going to stay by the IV goal. Goblin with the shot, but it is denied, and IV are going to keep their lead for just a little bit longer.
Good solid goalie work coming in to get aggressive on the front line. Nice pass down to Swagwar, who has the momentum and speed for the juke and the shot on goal. Crane Gang bounce back. And now we're opening up the can, Bob, as 1-1 comes in here in round 2.
Nadash up in the sky. Pass from Mozzie to JDG. Pickle! What? Right off the start of the round, give IV their lead back. They don't want to give it up.
What a score there. Beautiful passing coming in as Mozzie quickly gets control of the ball. This is a relentless assault coming in as a good hold from Goblin does back off the push from IVNA. Up 2-1 in round 2. Looking to take this to a 3-round series, but if they lose round 2, then they won't take it to a 3-round series, Bob. Another goal locked in by Crane Gang.
Just when you think IV might be bringing us to that 3rd round, Crane Gang says, the game's not done yet. There's still 2 minutes left on that clock. Plenty of time for things to go our way. Back down to center court. Good kick out from Crane Gang sent to Mozzie, who looks for the shot on goal, but there's three defenders from Crane Gang on it. Mozzie takes the shot anyway, and now it's a battle for control.
Swagwar does scoop it up, bats it over to the midfield, relying on his team to come flying in as Baz is there, but JDG is also here. Knocks it all the way back to the zone of Crane Gang, and they'll scoop it up. We stay tied, 2-2. Time ticks down, a minute left on the clock. Both teams kind of in a bit of a reset mode here, looking to figure out who's going to be the next squad to push up into the enemy's zone.
Wagwar across to the halo and drops the ball to JDG. Goblin kicking it across to Mozzie. Ivy could get a shot on the goal here. Piggles tries it. Can they tap it in? No, it doesn't happen. We're still tied with a 2-2 game, and it's back over on the Ivy court.
Humongous save coming in on the Crane Gang side as we see them fending off what is IV getting warmed up, locking in to these later rounds. And this is really what we should expect to see in the grand finals. This could be a little look into what's going to be coming into our way tomorrow in the late stages of the finals of the Pioneer Cup, because these two teams, again, undefeated so far today and showcasing why as they battle for near overtime. We're headed to it. 2-2. Ball pass to Baz. They take a shot. No, Goblin scoops it up on the back line. And now we battle again for midfield control. Nobody quite has it here. Is Nadash maybe going to get the breakaway? Is it going to come down to who gets the breakaway? Who gets the cross? It is. It's IVNA taking the round. We're staying for one more retro because this is the best of three, and both teams have a round locked in now.
Wow, that was teeth-shattering. We were going into an overtime game right there. It was 2-2 right there. IVI securing that goal in the end game, rushing straight up to that ball, just getting that momentum. It was incredible with those saves. But IVI taking the W. Now we're 1-1. Let's see who takes this overall, Nightfire.
I know, and we're going to have a big crowd, Bob. One of the cool features of this game is that if you're in the arena or the server that's playing these games, you can watch from the outside. So we actually have now pretty much every team that's been playing in this server with their games finished moving over here to arena number 1, where we are getting ready to dive in to round number 3 of this best of 3, Bob. Make no mistake about it. Here we go. Two teams tied apiece. Round 3 begins.
They're off like a rocket.
We're off. Nadash immediately getting control of the ball. Swagwar, however, gets the steal off and is bringing it over towards the IV goal. Goblin up in the sky. Pass over to Crash and Tux. They go for the behind-the-back shot, and Nadash with the interception across the court. Might not go in as a long shot. Oh, it might! But Swagwar is there to defend once again. Another clutch block from Crane Gang.
Yeah, a lot of clutch defensive saves coming in here. It's the story for Crane Gang and why they're staying into this so much. As Goblin with a great tackle there pushes Nadash off the ball, opens it up for an intercept. Crash and Tux tries to clear it down for a slap to the center, but it ends up hitting some geometry. So we battle for midfield control. Nadash with a big boost push, a big sequence of momentum. Can't quite find control of the ball, but slaps it back into the zone of their opponent, and we kind of just jostle for control here in the midfield.
And Nadash is tackled by Baz. Crash and Tux sends it across the midfield, intercepted by Piggles. That's the IV defense we all know. Nadash now has possession. Swagwar, beautiful tackle. You'd love to see the aggressive plays coming in from Crane Gang. They're not giving Ivy a chance to breathe, get comfortable, and then take a shot on their goal. They're applying continuous pressure. Nadash up in the sky, loses control, but Mozzie is going to be the one to pass it over to JDG. But another tackle from Crane Gang disrupts Ivy's ability to get in the Crane Gang goal.
Again, midfield brawl as we're tied 0-0 with 3:20 left on the clock. Round 3, the winner here goes undefeated and is positioned first seed into tomorrow's tournament, where we take the top 8 teams and battle them out against each other for one final grand finalist in our North American Pioneer Cup. Goblin swatting it away in the midfield. Nadash battling for control. Swagwar maybe scoops it up. No, can't quite find a hold of it as Nadash does a nice bit of dribble work, passes it up to Piggles, and here comes the push coming in. A nice cross to JDG, who's not there to hit the pass.
See up in the sky, good ceiling carve, sent over to Nadash. But look at the triple team from Crane Gang getting control of the ball. JDG again, sending it back over towards the goal for Crane Gang. We've gone through about half of the time in this third round and nobody has scored. Quite the drought we're seeing from these teams, and it's only raising the tension even further because we could get down to just 1 point, making the difference between staying undefeated and taking the first loss of this tournament.
Ozzy trying to scoop up that pass there, couldn't quite get it. Nadash on the backline comes forward, handles a clear, but Goblin quickly retrieves it back. The intercept that leads to an offensive push here from Crane Gang. The slap to the corner goes wide. A shot on goal, a rare opportunity that doesn't end in a point for Crane Gang.
Well, we still have not had our first goal of this third and final round. Swagwar went to have a go at it, but that didn't go in either. Crash and Tux looks to correct. Mozzie bringing it back across, but it bounces off of the Geo, and it's going right towards the IV goal, but there's Piggles. Again, never missing a beat and sending it over towards their teammate. Nadash tackled by Crash and Tux. Ball again sent back over towards the IV goal. Piggles once more, never out of position, gets that ball sent back over towards the Crane Gang side.
You love to see the crowd on the side of the arena tuning in and watching this battle back and forth as they compete for their first point. Bob, a minute left on the clock. 0-0, round 3. Still, midfield seems to be where the majority of this action is unfolding. And the shot there goes wide. Nada saves. What wasn't going to go in, I think it was just a little bit on the edge there. And that smaller goal in the 4v4 arena, Bob, proving to be a little bit of a challenge in these later rounds when these teams are starting to feel a little bit of fatigue. Round 6, Crash and Tux flies in. Beautiful team tackle to keep things alive and in control for IVNA.
I just want to remind everybody that what Piggles is doing is not easy. It is really hard to be a goalie in this game. That ball is incredibly fast. Goblin goes for it. There it is! Crane Gang score! And the one time they can thread the needle and get it into the goal, they can manage to score. There's only 20 seconds left for IV to respond. Otherwise, they're going to take their first loss, but it bounces off of the Geo. The ball now just up in the air. If it stays on the ground much longer, it's going to be all over for IV. Nadash sending it across, intercepted by Swagwar. Goes for the shot on goal. It's denied, but can IV keep it in the air for much longer? Goblin sends it back over to the other side. Nadash, Swagwar in a battle for control. It's down on the bridge, but that doesn't count yet. It has to hit the main ground. Nadash sending it back across to Mozzie. We need to see a shot here from IV. It's in there. It's in there.
How?
They tie it up.
We're going to overtime. They keep the ball afloat when time is out. And it ends up in a goal. Bob, the passing sequence there is one to put into your replay books for a long time. As we get into another midfield brawl, OD delivering in its final moments here of the Pioneer Cup on Saturday, battling again for midfield control. Mozzie kicks it over to the Crane Gang side.
Crash and Tux looks to collect the ball, bringing it back towards the bridge. Swagwar now down the middle, goes for the shot. Is anybody from IV prepared for the backhand? Oh my goodness, it's in, and Crane Gang take it in overtime. The win against IV, 2-1 Retro. What an incredible match.
Crane Gang showing everyone that they are the boss of this game. But just IVI back there, just saying that, no, we do not want to, we just want to keep going with that passing sequence. Was just so beautiful as they just scored that in, making it 1-1. I could just feel the sweat from both teams. It was just a roaring game of action from both teams, but Crane Gang taking that W after going in.
If this is any indicator of what we're going to get tomorrow, Bob, I'm a happy camper, because to go to the final round, overtime, that's insane. There's not a better way to end the afternoon, and that is what we're doing here. We are ending the afternoon of what has been almost 4 hours of Orion Drift action delivered fresh to your faces across multiple streams, something only the VRML network can deliver on. in the VR esports space. We really do appreciate all of your support this afternoon. And a quick reminder to pick up your tickets to VRML Con, live event happening July 25th to 27th at Phoenix at the Media Immersive Experience Center at Arizona State University. A really cool opportunity where 5 tournaments are getting played out in VR esports, qualifiers that you can enter into online if you buy a ticket to the convention. And if your team qualifies, then you get to go to Phoenix and play live on one of 2 stages for a chance at $5,000 in cash in the tournament that you qualify into. It's a lot to look forward to. I highly recommend you check it out. All the information at vrmlcon.com or vrmasterleague.com/vrmlcon. You cannot miss it. It's going to be, I think, the biggest event we've ever held, with so many teams and so many different games showing up. With Orion Drift being all day Sunday, I'm just so happy that we've got the support from another Axiom to do what we're going to do at Phoenix. So get ready, buy your tickets, pick them up right now. The Phoenix Invitational coming up June 27th to the 29th. Quick reminder here, as we do bring up the schedule, we've got a couple more games left ahead of us. Obviously, this weekend, NA still getting played out. The top 8 teams qualifying on, playing tomorrow on Sunday. The Ignition Cup, May 31st to June 1st. $1,000 in cash prizing there. And then the Phoenix Invitational, June 27th to the 29th. That's your chance to qualify for an opportunity to play on stage all day at Phoenix on July 27th. $5,000 in cash for that. It's a lot, and we do appreciate all the support from everybody that's tuned in today. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button. Be sure to come in tomorrow, 3 p.m. PST, for another huge couple of games across multiple streams live on the VRML network. For now, though, that will be it. My name has been Nightfire with 2 E's. My co-casters, Gibular Bob, RetoCat, Rydell, Sir Dimwee, Finto, Aiden VR, everybody that's jumped in to the casting today. We do appreciate their support and yours. We'll see you all tomorrow, 3 p.m. PST. Orion Drift VRML is brought to you by another Axiom, Helga, the esports manager. Thanks for watching VRML.